So did you get one of these, Mary?
Call this workshop to order. The date is August 28th, 2025. The time is approximately 10:05. I would ask Commissioner Moore if you would please lead us in our invocation. Please stand if you're ready.
Bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, once again, we want to thank you for waking us up to a brand new day. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We ask that you be with us today. Help us to make the correct decision. And Lord, help us to agree and disagree in unity and love. And Lord, we ask that you bless this day, for this is the day that you have made, and we will rejoice. All these blessings we ask in the Son of Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you would please do a roll call for us. Even if you don't feel here, please say you are here. So even if you don't feel you're here, please say you are here.
Yes, present.
Commissioner William B.J. Laurie,
Present.
Commissioner Linda Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Cynthia Burton. Here. Mayor Michelle Miles,
Present.
City Manager Derek Martin.
Here.
Finance Director Steve Conklin.
Here.
HR Director Sheila Walker. I thought Miss Sheila was here.
She
She is.
Oh,
She's in.
Right behind me.
all right. And I have Gas Director Dave Frank.
Here. Yeah.
You ready to come here?
I think we're good. Okay, welcome everyone here today. This is a workshop to, again, public hearing, or not a hearing, but a public workshop to go over our budget. And we're going to look at our general fund today, correct? I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Martin and
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for coming so early today and starting this process with us. We actually have went through all of the budgets and our line items, individual line items that had markups before, and we of course have changed those markups to match some of our discussions that we had. I will point out a couple things today. We are going to be combining our FICA with the
Medicare.
Medicare, yes. And only on the special occasions, for the people that we pay or otherwise offset their costs for it, we will have those line items separated in our final, budget. That has not been completed yet. All we're doing is just gonna combine them into one lump sum, and then zero out the other line item. As discussed, we went through, we made our notes, based on the conversations we've had in our previous workshops. We have provided you a budget based on the 8.7164 max rate, which is our rollback rate. We do have a net zero budget, so we're balanced, with our expenditures and revenues. One thing that we did provide today, because we are short of time, is all of our CRA, the BPP, the Better Place Plan, and all of our enterprise funds. If we have time, we would like to just go through them, cursory review. All of those have been updated since our last meeting, to reflect the decisions made as a collective group. And those are all balanced budgets as well. Even though we had some revenues and expenditures that showed us in the positive on the enterprise funds, we did balance them out at zero, just to have a zero line on there. I wasn't quite sure before. It looked like there was a lot of positives left, but we want to make sure that we just have a flat zero budget line item on there. Other than that, we can start at the top. I did have a couple guests come in today. I don't want to take their time up, so if you would mind, Madam Chair, if we could let them come and present. Those are individuals here with Brown & Brown. We also have FMIT. These individuals have worked tirelessly on getting us some savings for the city for our workers' comp and general liability. They're here to present and show what those savings are and to answer any questions that you all have moving forward in this process. If you will, you can come up.
Yeah, you're good with that. I think we're gonna need to know this because this is part of our budget. So thank you and welcome. Thank you for coming to Crescent City.
Thank you.
If you will, come up, present, and introduce yourself to the commission.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly Grande with Brown & Brown Insurance.
I'm Melanie Stiegel, I'm an employee benefits advisor with Brown & Brown.
So as Derek mentioned, we're here today to provide some cost savings on the property casualty and employee benefits programs of the city. We're gonna just briefly go through a quick overview of our company before we show you those cost savings. So we are both with Brown & Brown Insurance and we are in the public sector side of it. So our public sector team is kind of like a mom and pop shop. We're about 25 employees as a part of the larger Brown & Brown Corporation, which is 16,000 employees. We are the #1 public entity broker in the state of Florida, where we place about $400 million of insurance premiums for those entities across the state. Can you go to the next one? Thank you. We'd like to give this visual to kind of show everyone the type of entities we work with. We do cities, counties, special districts, school districts, a little bit of everything. And our client base consists of entities ranging from the size of Hillsborough County, which is $2 billion in total insured value, to small entities such as Mount Dora, the city of Bellevue, the city of Mascot, a little bit of everything. All of our clients receive the same type of service and the same type of efforts when it comes to marketing and cost savings, no matter the size of them. Come you to the next one. This is the team that all of our clients have access to. The blue is gonna be the Brown & Brown team, and the green is gonna be Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust. Now, this is exclusively for the property and casualty side of the house. In the audience here, I actually have Jeremy LaCourte. He's a representative of Preferred. And then our Brown employees are both our property casualty and employee benefits team. So the city would have access to every single person within this team. We have dedicated account managers for both sides, dedicated account executives for both sides, as well as loss representatives, claims representatives. There's never gonna be a time where the city's gonna have any service issues. So now for the fun part, the cost savings. So we were able to provide about $76,000 of premium savings. So that was 35% of the expiring insurance program. You'll note this is pretty significant savings. This is not a standard renewal that you will see year over year. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them being it has been quite some time since the city has done a competitive quoting process. I believe it's been about 10 years. And also, I think maybe the agent on the account wasn't looking too closely at providing the savings for a city of this size. So one thing that we can assure you is when we have an account, we're not a representative of the insurance carrier. We don't work for Preferred, we work for Brown and Brown. So it's always in our interest as an extension to the city and its taxpayers to provide the most cost-efficient program and the most comprehensive coverage. So I'm confident that if the city did choose to move forward with us, if there was a competitive quoting process, which we do recommend every few years, pricing would not come crashing down. Our proposals are always priced very fairly and very competitively. So that's just something I wanted to know for you guys, and also point out some of the coverage advantages that we have. We are offering a 2-year rate guarantee on this program. So that's not a 2-year policy. You're not locked into this policy, but you are locked into these lower rates. And while the rates cannot go up, they can come down. So I think that's a fantastic benefit. We also have full property limits. So that's up to your total insured values, which is almost $15 million. That's for all your property and contents across the city. And our auto limit of $1 million includes all autos. So if you have a claim on an unscheduled auto, or if you have take-home vehicles, we will go ahead and cover that claim. Preferred is really, really great about putting coverage on for items that are missed on the schedule. So that's pretty common with public entities. Sometimes there's a building, that the entity didn't even know they owned, or they were supposed to have a lease on it, a vehicle that just missed administratively on the schedule. We're always great at carving out coverage for those. And we also recently enhanced our cyber liability. Our cyber crime is $500,000, which is one of the highest you can find in the marketplace. That is covering social engineering and fraudulent fund transfer, which is the most common cyber event that occurs for public entities. And the last thing that I want to talk about for property and casualty is not just the pricing, but what you have included as having us as your broker. I put 60,000 of premium savings. We're actually at about 75,000 since we have gone through underwriting, which is fantastic. We pride ourselves on not just being transactional insurance agents. We're not just here to provide you a quote. We're here to provide the city with risk solutions, a cost of risk program where we're looking at where the city's risk tolerance is. Is there anything that we can self-insure? What do exposures look like year over year? And what do the city's budget constraints look like? We also have a very comprehensive loss control and safety program that the city would have access to. This includes up to $5,000 reimbursement for safety initiatives, which we can also help the city carve out and put into place. We offer contract review and training, as well as certificate of insurance review and recommendation, among all these other things. We're very big on our legislative updates. I'm sure many of you are aware that the sovereign immunity tort caps were looked at earlier this year, and we expect them to be looked at again this year. So as a part of our early budget process is we do provide estimates based on if those bills were to pass, what that would look like for the city. We also do free property appraisals. We have an asset management software that would be included, as well as free cyber assessments and a turnkey disaster recovery program called Preferred Priority. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hand this over to Mel. She's gonna go over the employee benefits piece of our proposal.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So we did send to the market, and I apologize that it's very small. I can send this over electronically as well. But we did get some quotes from United Healthcare. The city is currently with Florida Blue. And there are 4 options that are included in this presentation. The first one that I want to show first has the largest savings. It is a savings to the bottom line of just over $7,500. I will point out the biggest differences. The deductibles are slightly lower. We do try to match apples to apples as closely as possible, while also enhancing benefits if possible. We understand that insurance is very personal for employees, and so obviously offering the best coverage also is assisting the city in retaining talent and attracting new employees. So what I will say is that this option 1, they do have, both plans have a little bit lower deductibles. The city does currently offer 4 plans. The reason there's only 2 illustrated here is that there's only enrollment in 2 plans. And so it does actually make sense for a group your size to offer 2 plans. Once you get past that, it can get a little bit to handle administratively. But I will say that this is 3.8% below what the renewal was for Florida Blue, for the city's current coverage. So again, a savings of about $7,529. What I will point out also is that United Healthcare does have a very good network in this area. We did explore hospitals as well. All of the hospital systems, Advent Health, Halifax, HCA, Baptist, so everything kind of north, south, east, west is all considered in the network, as well as there are many providers that match the Florida Blue network in this area. I'll make a good next one. Again, I apologize, I know these are small. This option 2 is about 2.2% savings, just over $4,400 in savings. Again, one plan matches the $2,000 deductible of one of the current plans, and the other one is $3,000, which is just slightly lower than the $3,200 that does have enrollment. One of the differences, I say it's a difference, one of them does say it's an HMO with out-of-network coverage. All that means is it's written on an HMO platform. Typically with an HMO, you would need to find your provider and state that ahead of time. This HMO does not require that, and there is out-of-network coverage. So it is very comparable to the PPO. The only difference with this HMO is that you must be a Florida resident to enroll in it, which if they're working for the city, then I would assume that that is the case. Option 3 is, again, still a slight savings. It's 0.7% savings from the renewal, just over $1,400. One of the plans does have a slightly higher, it has a $3,500 deductible as opposed to the current $3,200. The other one does have a $1,500 deductible as opposed to $2,000. So there are some differences. The copays for office visits are slightly lower. Chiropractic with Florida Blue, their chiropractic copay follows a specialist. So it is a little bit higher with United Healthcare. Their chiropractic copay actually follows the primary care. So in this case, with these plans would be $25 and $30 respectively, as opposed to $85 and $60. And again, slight savings. And then option 4 is slightly higher. It's a 0.8% increase, so it would be just over $1,600 additional to what the city is currently paying. So what I would say to you is that this is an exercise that our team does regardless of the size of our client, probably every 2 years at least. For a group your size, United Healthcare and Florida Blue are the 2 major players. Cigna and Aetna don't like to go below 25 or 50, depending on what that looks like. And so again, this is going to be the major 2 that are available to your groups. But again, a full marketing is something that our team regularly does.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
And so that's savings on our side. Does that mean the portion that employee pays is also going to be cheaper?
There are, and we can mix and match these plans, because I think there was one plan that was slightly higher than, there's health plan 18102. There are some plans that are slightly higher than that, but there are, like I said, we can mix and match these to where both plans would be lower. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm worried about our savings, but I also want the employees to save money too.
Can I just real fast, just for some clarification, Sheila, would you explain, can you just come up for just a second and just make sure that we all understand how the insurance works for our employees as far as what they pay and what we pay?
Right now, the city gives each employee and only the employee $1,110 towards their plan. And that is only for the employee. They give nothing for family. And so the difference, the employee pays. And so right now, let's say the city is about 80% that they contribute towards the employee costs.
So the city's contributing about 80%. So that's what I think we need to look at too, is, what impact, like Commissioner Maury said, what impact is this gonna have on
Correct,
the employees?
correct.
And also from a family coverage, we have a lot of them that really struggle with the family coverage and they can't even provide the family coverage because it's too costly.
Yes.
So that's something I know that we would be looking out for. So if we go through this exercise, please. Thank you. Does that help? Yes, Commissioner
I have a
Tandem.
question. So, and this is, I guess, for Sheila or the city manager, when does our employee insurance renew? Do we have to renew it every year?
Yes, we do.
And when does it renew?
We do, we start in October, the new plan rolls over November the 1st.
So it renews when the fiscal year? Okay, and then may I ask one more question?
Sure.
So, usually if we're thinking of making a change, does that get reviewed with the employees ahead of time? Do they usually get a chance to take a look?
In the past, we've always, get all of the new quotes and then we pass it on to the employee. So, they get a, chance to look at it and decide which plan will work for them as well, if they need to switch or stay where they're at.
And that's those options that we provide, not
Yes.
that, not necessarily the insurer.
Right, I guess what concerns me at this point, the liability insurance is our biggest cost and biggest potential savings. The part one of this presentation. I'm a little bit concerned, like where are we in the process? Would our employees have an opportunity if we made the switch? Would they have a chance to comment? Because I personally am not comfortable making a decision for other people based on what I've heard briefly and, I'm not able to read on the screen.
And I think that's something that as we go forward that, and of course, we've got to make this decision within the next month, I would think, that I would hope that Derek, that you would hold a city benefits meeting with all the employees to go over this so that they can weigh in on that.
And I will say too that that's something that our team assists with as well. We typically work with our clients and especially if changes are being made, we like to hold meetings prior to open enrollment even beginning and walk through what changes there are and what that means and answer any questions so that the employees understand. We put together a benefit guide that has all of the benefits all included in it and walk through that with them so that they have ample time, not only to ask us questions, but to chat with spouses and all of that to make sure that it's what their family needs.
Okay.
And we've had that discussion today, is just to bring it
Right.
up to you all, so you know that we are actively working on it. The workers' comp and general liability is a little different. I would like some direction on that from you all, today, but yes, we will.
But on the employee
Yes.
side, which is a different.
Yes,
that's
and we
different.
discussed having them come in, and, if that was something that we would move forward with.
Because changes, and for so long, so many people, Florida Blue has been, when you switch over to United, it's for a lot of people, there's that uncertainty. So we just want to make sure that our employees are comfortable and that, I guess this also works over at St. Augustine Hospital, up next. I'm drawing blank, flat.
Yes.
Yes, so United, they accept United too, because so many of our population here do go there.
I have United Healthcare, and I've never had a provider that was in the network.
Okay.
Between Daytona and the hospital I go to, even Express Family Care right here in town, so.
We do have a very robust network.
And United also provides supplemental for the dental and the eye, and so they have access to that.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
do we have any other questions on this? Yes, Commissioner Zito.
So what is our final date that we have to decide whether to stay with the current employee healthcare coverage or go with a different plan?
We should have a meeting to prepare the rates
today?
but we got new rates for Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Right, we still have to have a.
And so we still need to have a meeting.
So
to
we've
look
got
at-
time, we have
To do the
time.
average, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mayor?
When's the deadline? She's asking, when's the deadline?
It's gonna be in the middle of September.
Yes, we can do middle of
Middle
September.
September to the end of September.
Mhm.
Okay. And that comparison's gonna be what we have today versus whatever we choose.
Whatever the renewals are and the options that they're providing as well. And then, so we'll take a look at those, and then from that, as a team, we'll have the meeting with the
Correct.
employees and let them look at all of them and make a decision from there.
And you can provide those sheets.
Yes, and I'm sorry, that was something added, and so, I'll get them to you all today, so you can have a big blown-up picture.
Oh,
No, because, I mean, that does come up, that if you're gonna provide that, then we need to look at everything.
Yes.
And always, anything we can do to assist our employees, and healthcare in itself is just so expensive, so.
And co-pays and all that. Looking at each one of those things makes a big difference.
Definitely is.
Well, and just, Mayor, if I could, I mean, employees need to hear about it, and then they need time with their family to discuss it with their spouse, because that's pretty critical.
Yeah.
So then what I would just run through real quick is also what's included with the services that Brown and Brown offers. So the premium savings, obviously there are, again, some different plan options on the table. And again, this is something that we do every year, even if you don't look to change carriers, we always look at alternate plan options, because almost every year, the carriers have to file their plans with the state, and so there are sometimes some changes, sometimes they come out with enhancements. Marketplace solutions, we have full market access to where we look at not only the medical, but the dental, vision, life, and sometimes it's worth bundling, and sometimes there's savings if it's not bundled. So we always look at those options as well. And then just the benefits consulting, we do have a dedicated service team. We can talk through some contributions. I know sometimes those change based on what the costs are. I've had some clients that have gone from a fixed contribution to a percentage because it would just change based on the rates every year. Also wellness initiative support, because that has proven to be, to prove that it can be beneficial to either bring your claims down or just overall have a healthier population. And as Molly kind of stated as well, we do have a public entity focus. We do have an internal legislative and compliance team that does periodically provide us updates of what's coming down the pike. We do provide benchmarking so you can see what those entities around you are offering, so you can be sure that you're in line with that. And then just as we are today, presence at board meetings, council meetings and commission meetings, workshops, and then the value added services. Most of this too, not only for employees such as the open enrollment support, the customized benefit guide and other references and resources, but we do offer some benefits, also some services for your HR team. And we do have a free HR portal that does offer some compliance articles, some health and wellness articles. If you decide you want to look at a health savings account, there's some employee communications in there that kind of help them understand that as well. And then we do have a free employment law resource. While typically most entities do have access to an attorney, fully and fully is something that we actually pay for and provide for all of our clients. That is an 800 number that you can call. Just pick up the phone if you have something that's urgent, and you can get some attorney advice and guidance for those times. And then we do have, again, free compliance guidance. We do go through a compliance checklist, typically every year. If there are some changes, at least every other year, to be sure that the city is in compliance with the ACA and all of the legislation that is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to go back to, our liability, if we can.
Sure.
I think one of the concerns that I had when we were going into this, and of course, again, change is difficult, with FMIT, and we've had this over the last couple of years where we've needed the legal resources because either a commissioner something has happened with one of us, and we've had to have attorney representation. And I don't know where that comes in your policy. Where would that come in your policy? And of course, we've had, a few attorneys that have been kind of assigned to us that we're familiar with and worked with. And so, and that's through FMIT. So how does this cover, how do you cover that?
Sure. So Preferred's not just similar, they also have a pre-approved panel of counsel for both workers' compensation and the liability lines. I can provide you with both those lists. There likely won't be overlap between our counsel and the FMIT counsel. However, you're not necessarily stuck in stone if there's a particular litigation or special litigation that you're looking for a particular attorney on. We're always open to consider, given the circumstances. If you have a particular HR, workers' comp, or an EEOC issue, we can always recommend a firm from our panel, even, auto liability is a pretty easy one, that we have, a lot of our attorneys handle.
And when we've had, like if one of us, in doing our duty, a commissioner, if a lawsuit is brought against them, how does that work as far as coverage?
Yeah, same thing, so we cover, the defense to defend any of our public officials against whoever's, being claimed against them. We will, give you the choice between two of our panel counsel that we would recommend. We have firms, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa. Again, if you have a specific preferred attorney, that you would like us to consider, we will always do that as well.
But we are covered,
You are absolutely covered.
we are covered.
And I think the bigger question, I want to make sure that the commission knows, when the discussion came up, we wanted to make sure that the coverage was apples to apples.
Mhm.
And that was something that you assured me, that the coverage was apples to apples. So I want to make sure you all know that was considered when we went this route.
All the coverage is exactly the same, if not with some enhancements on our end.
Because the one thing is, when you sit up here and you put yourself out here, as long as you're performing within those confines that you swore, that oath you swore to take. We don't want people not to run for fear that, because there are people out there that will sue for whatever reason, not to run just because of concern about that, to serve their community. So that's a big issue for all of us. Yes, Commissioner DeVito, you have a question?
I have actually
An
two,
observation?
no, question, two. My first question is, I'm assuming that the quote takes into account our loss and claim history.
Correct.
Okay, because we paid a claim this year.
We did a full underwriting analysis of the entire program, which includes the loss history.
And then also, I'm not sure I heard this correctly, so in terms of ongoing lawsuits, how do you coordinate benefits when we switch carriers?
So any claims that are currently open or being handled by the current carrier, FMIT, will continue to be handled by FMIT until they're closed, and then any new claims that arise during a policy term with us, we would be handling.
Okay, and would we be obligated to pay some kind of continuing coverage to FMIT? Is that
No, there's no one-off.
customary? Okay. Because for professionals, they do. So, okay, I think that was all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any other questions?
No, really appreciate it. And so that we know that we do have two separate things that we're talking about, too, the liability and FMIT this year, and so once we hear from him, we can also mix and match. We can do the healthcare with you and stay with FMIT if we want to, just, okay.
Ma'am, I did have one more
Otherwise,
question.
no problem.
If I'm recognized?
Yes.
Okay, on the screens that you showed, on one of the very first ones, there was a list of the item, and then there was a comparison of the cost to go with Brown & Brown or FMIT. And I think you went about halfway down the list and you stopped short. There was a line item that said 2%. What is that?
That 2% on the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Yes, so that is a credit that I'm providing, again, for full transparency, as everyone on our team is. I get paid via commission on the insurance program, so I have removed 2% out of my own commission to provide the city with additional savings.
Okay, and that was my other question, is how do I get paid?
Yes.
Okay, so you're taking a cut in order to provide to help provide a competitive quote.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that standard?
Yeah, I would say so. It just depends on, I'm not sure where the FMIT renewal came in. I did try to provide as much savings as I possibly could, and I just wanted to give it a little bit more of a bump. Typically, on our package policies, pay anywhere between 10 and 12%, and the workers' compensation is between 7 and 9%. So, we always have transparency and some wiggle room on our end.
How long have you represented, let's say like Mount Dora, how long have you represented Mount Dora?
I've had Mount Dora for at least 5 years, that's one that our, I believe, England office handles. We've also had plenty of our accounts since our inception 30 years ago. City of Kane City, for example, we've had since the early 90s, City of Davenport as well. We have really established long relationships with many of our clients.
Longevity, well, we know Brown & Brown, you've been around for a very long time. For any of those that have grown up in this area.
1979.
Yeah.
86 years this year.
Okay, well, thank you. If we have no other questions, thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
I would
much.
just like to mention, once Tyler does his presentation, if the board would consider both, then maybe, consider voting at the next board meeting if there's time. That would be.
We would, it would be on September 10th. We don't have to on September 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm gonna take my flash drive on.
Yes, no problem. If you could please come up, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Tyler.
Hello, good morning.
They all know you, but introduce yourself anyway. Thank you.
Yep, so I'm Tyler Denahan with the Florida League of Cities. I'm just gonna hand out a handout real quick. I didn't bring a flash drive or anything. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would you like one?
Thank you.
Thank you. I have one, thank you. First off, thanks for having us here this morning. Normally we go to battle at like 5, 6 o'clock at night, so I do apologize if I'm not fully caffeinated yet. Usually it takes 12 hours for caffeine to fully kick in. But again, my name is Tyler Denahan. I do work with the Florida League of Cities. I do represent a lot of municipalities here in Putnam County. Just to mention a few, the county itself, the Port Authority, Interlaken, Palm Coast, Pomona Park, Willaca. There might be a few more, those are just the ones off the top of my head. But I do want to go over who the Florida League of Cities is and who FMIT is. So in 1922, the Florida League of Cities was created to help cities maintain home rule. And this is in the forefront of everything in municipal government today. So I do just want to hit that point home because home rule is being attacked everywhere. And so we're going to jump forward 50 years. 1976, the League of Mayors comes to the Florida League of Cities and says, hey, we're really struggling to place our workers' compensation insurance. We need assistance. So the Florida League of Mayors comes to the Florida League of Cities, forms the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust in 1976. And then, since 1976 through today, we've been the largest municipal insurance trust in the state of Florida and providing the best in-house services to municipal government. There are a few things that I want to highlight within our proposal, but there's also a couple things that I'd rather just start with that are different. Molly did mention that she secured you a $500,000 limit on site.
Out around $15,000 of the budget.
So 15,000.
Yes, ma'am. To be exact, it's $14,979.
15,000,
Yes,
remember that, okay?
And
If you go down,
If you're talking about the 8.43, we have to take out $33,840, or $840.
so 34,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Total?
In total.
Okay, because those figures were actually passed out before.
Correct.
And Mayor, I have a question for
Yes.
the commission. It was my understanding when we adopted this village, that some of us did this just as a precaution because there were so many unknowns the last time we went through the general fund, and this is an extra meeting. My understanding was that we were going to try to not use the higher millage rate, but that was just.
That's why I asked for those figures, so as
Exactly.
you're going through this, we
Right,
need to look at where we need to cut if we want to come into those. But at the same time, we need to go at where our rollback is, and then work down from there.
got it. So, and I have a question about the back page, the very last page that we were handed, and I guess there were two separate budgets that were sent out recently.
So the difference in the budgets were only because of a rounding error, and it was literally dollars. What we did was we went through the entire budget. It was brought to my attention about differences in some totals, so the reason why was because if you take decimals out to the thousands, there were cents in, and the program was either rounding up or down, and it was changing and skewing totals, especially when we went to our budget worksheet. So we fixed that, and that's what we sent out. That's the second.
Okay, so if my notes are on the original one that I was handed, I'm not that far off.
No.
You're a dollar, more or less,
Okay.
off and on.
Yes,
That's
correct.
pending, so.
Okay, so my questions are about the very last page, 19, where it shows total expenditures and then excess deficiency of revenues over expenditures. Okay, so the very last line, for unaudited 2024, is that saying that 2024 has a deficiency of $339,000, 943?
Currently, right now, in this spreadsheet, I would say yes, but it's not true because we're going through our audit and they are moving some things, and Steve can talk to that a little bit more.
Plus we had, allocations from the enterprise funds that in 2024, we did not believe we had the funds to transfer, so we just did a preliminary amount. Talking with Julianne and with the auditors, we may revisit that for the end of 2024. So that's gonna be, I think we talked about it yesterday, is it 230,000, I believe? 237, correct.
237,900, approximately,
Okay,
that did not get, transferred over from the enterprise funds. But the
Okay.
general fund took a hit on.
right, but,
So that's a big.
okay, so, but there's really no way to recover that. We discussed that in the enterprise fund workshop, right? I mean, that's just kind of, we could ask for it to be a loan, but there's no way we can,
No,
take
that's-
that money from the enterprise fund. So my question is, when there's a deficiency in the 2024 year of,
Go ahead and explain it if you would to her, Steve, exactly what's happened, because there was a my understanding, there was a carry forward, because I asked the same question that covered a good portion of that.
Yeah, from, we're going back 2, 3, 4 years, there was a carryover and just the flow through from, I guess it was 2021, I guess is where, Julianne, we're looking at. That carry forward kind of covered the current carry forward. So basically we had a carry forward, I believe, last year, like 318,000, I believe was. what I
Even
heard.
with this,
Correct, even with that, yes.
supplementing.
Correct.
okay, so, because there's a number of pieces of paper that we've been given, and that was my next question. There's paperwork somewhere in here that I just looked at this morning and last night that says we had to carry forward approximately 300,000. And we allocated about 140 something of that.
Correct.
And so does this mean there is still a true balance in the carry forward?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, right now, there's a true balance of $173,000. When we have our meeting on the 10th, we do have documents that you don't have yet that we created that shows where we believe those should go. You all ultimately can decide. But we are proposing using around 110,000 of the carry forward to take care of some of the items that were unforeseen. And that's what we tackled mostly, were the unforeseen items that were not budgeted for or under budgeted and things happen. So
Or unforeseen items in what budget year? This budget year?
this
Correct.
current budget year, yes,
Not
ma'am.
this one we're looking at, the
Right.
current one we're sitting
The
in.
current one.
Okay, because then moving on down the columns on page 19, it says our amended budget is 108,224 under.
Yeah, because of the carry forward and what we budgeted.
And that,
Okay, wait, I need to hear from the city manager and staff, if it's adequate, if it's not, then commissioners chime in.
the amended budget that's there right now only covers the money that was utilized, and I can go in, it was probably around $145,000. Two things in there was some building repair and maintenance, the other was wage increases of the 7%.
Right, it was
Okay.
83,000 something.
The total amount is $145,455.
Right.
You don't have that in this, but that is reflected inside of the 2024 amended budget. When we come to you all in September 10th, we have a new amended budget that we're proposing to utilize $110,000 of the leftover $173,000. That would leave us approximately $62,000. I think it would be smart for the city to leave a buffer until we are done with our full audits. And then we will have a more rounded idea of exactly what that number is gonna be.
And Commissioner DeVito, I too, in seeing that number, had heart palpitations. But my understanding is that they, as they're going through the audit, we had two different people also doing inputting. And so there's quite possibly some things got inputted. Also, and they're making sure that that was done correctly. And then also what you have is some of these, it's my understanding too, is that some of these, like for some of the grants that we had to pay,
Yes.
and then it's a reimbursement.
Right.
So it would come into this year, and so they're trying to make sure that those numbers are all where they're supposed to be.
Correct, we still have more money coming.
But for
in.
transparency purposes, this is where it sits, but I know that was my understanding, so
Right, and-
I'm not gonna,
My concern is, number one, that as we're going through formulating our 26 budget, that we don't have any huge holes that are going to need to be filled that we're not aware of. And then it would be helpful to know, like, do we have any possible available funds? And the city manager is saying the $62,000 that is currently unallocated, he's recommending that we leave as a buffer. And that is exactly what I wanted to know. Where do we stand with the prior year funds?
yeah, because as it is right now, where we've had that carryover year over year, this last year, because we went with the rollback rate, and we reduced, we had pretty bare bones, and we
Yes.
ran into some situations that as we go forward, as you're looking at this budget, keep that in mind, because we don't wanna be in that situation next year.
Right, but I also, there was something I asked, and our finance director gave an answer, but I don't think that, I don't think it's everything we need to know. I asked about the $500,000 that was supposedly in reserve to purchase a fire truck. And Steve, I think you said, you thought the money had been allocated in different, accounts and just used.
I didn't say use that, it was moved from one account to another, and I haven't been able to find it yet. We will locate it.
So right
That was
now,
done, I think, last year, the year before, so I'll take a look at that.
When everything went in full cash, is that when
well, that was my thought.
Yeah, that was probably about that same
it
time,
was, yeah,
and it's just kind of hard because, sometimes we were having trouble finding some of our documentation, so.
and where we are now, and I think, just for anybody listening, somebody asked me, how did we get here? We've had a series of, as we all know, finance directors, everybody struggles with finding one, and we've been struggling for some years, and then when you do get one, everybody has a different way of, and kind of like back in the old days when we had, with a secretary, every time you changed the secretary, the whole filing system changed because they filed things differently.
Right.
And so I think that's where we are right now, and they're trying to, between he and Julianne, have been working hard to try to figure that all out. Yes, ma'am.
And just to be specific, when our longtime finance director, Debbie Peacock, retired, I think we had, Steve is now our fourth finance director. we had someone from, an individual fill the position. She was not familiar enough, then we hired a firm, a Clarion. They did not do a good job for us or many other cities. Then we hired an individual with a CPA, but unfortunately, he did not disclose that he had issues in his background, so he did not stay. And now we are fortunate to have, Mr. Conklin.
Yes.
But yes, there has been, turnover, and my thought is that, if anybody could help with the paperwork for finding out where the fire truck funds might have been, it would be Ms. Peacock. I mean, she was one who originally segregated it, I think. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
she might. Okay.
Yeah, we're aware, we've had discussions, we're also, again, in these looking at the budget, we're very tight, and Ms. Peacock does cost money, it's not free, so we're cognizant of that, and we're gonna work through to find those funds.
But Ms. Peacock has been, and I will say
Very
that she's
helpful.
been very helpful.
Yes.
She's
Yes,
come
she
in
has.
and she's
Very
helped
helpful.
us. She wanted to retire. She had announced that some time ago, and the city continued to carry her along. And as we do, please don't go. But she has been very generous with her time, and we're most appreciative that she's helped out, especially in our fire pensions. And so, anyway, let's go on. We need to get on with this budget.
Yes, so moving on to the budget, just as a caveat or just an added statement, we went through all of the notes that we created together on the first round. Made every change that was requested by the commission in regard to some of our budgeted items, notes that needed to be added. And so we can go from the very top and work ourselves down like we did before if you'd like. We do again have a balanced budget. It is set at the 8.71. There are some items that are significantly lower, and some items that are maintained the same, and a few that are significantly higher. Some items we decided, that we would combine with others to make it a little bit more easier for reading, and just like we're gonna be doing with the FICA, as well as the Medicare, which will be in the next round. And mind you too, our next round on September 10th, we will have some tables and pie charts and a presentation for you all to simplify this, so we don't have to see all the line items. So we can take it from the top, starting out at our revenue taxes. Again, the ad valorem is based on the 8.7164, with 5% taken out. Our delinquent ad valorem tax, we have at $5,000, around a $1,500 increase. The next line item, I questioned with Steve, but Steve, if you'd like to talk about the option 6 cents gas tax, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, we just based those off the previous year. We haven't gotten any of our state, we're still waiting on some of the state estimates, so.
And you can see our actuals through July, which we only have 2 months left, we're at $43,000. We based the budget at $60,000. I don't think we're quite gonna get there. We should be conservative in that sense. So we put $49,000 for that line item. The next line item, another gas tax. This one again, if you're looking at our actual year to date in July, we received $28,000. We budgeted $40,000. If you go back to the unaudited version of 24, we had $32,000. We put $33,000 in there just to be conservative.
Okay, we have any questions? As we go through this, do we have any questions? If there's not any questions, then we probably, from sake of time.
Yeah, Mayor, I do have one question.
Yes.
So all of these revenues that are listed here, are any of these pass-throughs, or are they actually part of our available revenue for expenditure?
Most of the pass-throughs are gonna be in your enterprise funds.
Okay.
Correct. And I did send back, and I apologize, we were trying to get everything ready. I sent back the email and I gave everybody a copy of the email of those questions. All of those questions were answered in that email, and you have the printout of that, everybody has that. So to try to speed the process up, but we can always talk about it if you need to.
Well, yes, so in other words, these are available revenues.
Correct.
Okay.
The water utility tax, right, according to this, is that our actuals through July is 40,000. And we started 4 months ago. And we're increasing the water rate, it's 10% of the water sales. Don't you think we can bump that up from 35.5?
We probably could, but we still wanted to be conservative. We wanted to
I mean, I think
basically talk to you all as a group and see
I
if
think
you
that's
wanted
just
to.
conservative.
What line?
I'm not, because if you look at the unaudited from the year prior, I know we're doing the increase, but that's 35, right at 35, and so.
Well, yeah, we were at 35 in 2025. And so we've already taken in the 40 right now. So why would we do it at 35 when a year ago, 2 years ago, it was
35 to 290.
right?
You know,
And it's a 5% increase each year, and we get 10% of that, the water sales. So, I mean, we've already passed that for this year, I think that needs to bump it up. What I'm looking at is, I want to stay at 8.4.
and I know you do, and I know you
And I
do,
think we should, and
But
I really think that should be our priority, because I know that the rollback rate, $39,000 is not that much money. And if we're really underestimating and lowballing like the water utility tax, that's something that could make up for that $39,000. I just don't wanna have, we already have one of the highest millage rates in the state, I don't wanna increase it.
well,
Okay.
and I'm going to say, Commissioner Roy, to that if that's what we're looking at, then we need to be looking at our expenses and how we can back out our expenses,
Okay?
because this is an unknown number. This is a hope for.
Right.
This is, well, it is
Right.
kind of, you never, I know, but you always, with what money's coming in,
Yes.
and when I do budgeting, I always look at not making as much as I think I'm gonna make, and then on my expenses, and so I'm very comfortable with where we are, and then that's just, if we make more than we make more, I think we can go in our expenses and cut out our expenses. Commissioner DeVito.
So, well, to me, I think, you're both right, but the timing is different. I agree with the mayor that we should not balance our budget based on the revenue side. And, you know, a projection is just a projection. I think we should balance it, as the mayor said, on the expense side. If the revenues come in higher, there is nothing to prevent us from restoring an expense that we have cut, as we have talked about in prior years. For example, if we gave less in salary increases, we can always restore if we get additional, if revenues come in higher, or whatever it is that we cut back on, we can restore. That, I don't see that as a problem, am I right? I mean, am I correct that we can do that?
Yes, and that's what we do when we usually adjust our budget, because there's an overage usually, and that's what we've been doing. But just for an example, when you look at our administration fees, if we have a shortfall in any of those, which we had last year, that's an example right there. That's over $200,000. That somehow or another, we're gonna have to figure that, we're gonna have to find that revenue somewhere else. Because that's what scares me more than anything, is that right there. And that's why I'm saying as conservative as we can possibly be with our revenue. That's where I would, and neither of us are wrong, we just have a difference of opinion. And so that's where I would say
Well,
I would go.
to me,
Yes.
Mayor, at this point, being just a few weeks away from first reading, I think we have to address the expense side and not try to fiddle around with the revenue side, because there's nothing to fiddle around with.
I mean, as we go through it, is there anything else in here that, and when you look at the revenue before we get to the expenses, is there anything else in the revenue that anybody has? Heartburn, we know Commissioner Lori feels like that should be increased. Commissioner Lori, is there anything else in here that you see so that we can get to the expenses?
That's just still, I think we've already brought that in, $40,000 this year actually, and we're raising the rates 5%. Why would we ever budget less than that? $35,000. That just
It gives us
doesn't,
a cushion. It provides us with a cushion.
okay, I mean, that's not efficient budgeting if you're really undercutting your revenues.
Well,
Right? And
I
That's just a difference of opinion.
I think that's conservative budgeting, not,
Efficient budgeting is getting as close as possible.
and I believe they've gotten us as close as they possibly can. But again, it's those administrative fees, that concern me, and we
Anything can
depend
go
on us.
wrong.
Anything can go wrong.
It only takes one thing to go wrong and it's, well, you don't have a
cushion.
cushion,
Yeah.
you could be in trouble in a hurry.
So,
And that's what this budget, we tried to do was to be as conservative on the revenue, so we could try to build in a cushion. I do understand what Commissioner Lori is saying, I don't disagree in part.
No, I don't disagree with it either.
But in this season where we are with the budget, it would be nice to have a good buffer. We don't know what's gonna happen next year. We feel that we put the money where it needed to be. We cut a lot out already, where we thought we could cut. There are some concerns that we have, and we'll talk about that when we get there, that we're gonna have to work through, as a team.
okay, so are we ready to go to expenses?
I had
Yes,
a comment to
Commissioner
say for the revenues. So, one comment I had was on the administrative, fees on the very last page, the lines 30 somethings. If we are going with salary increases, I noticed they use the 2025 budget amount to determine, what would be the administrative contribution for 26.
Right.
So I would think they would need to be adjusted, they're done on percentage. So
What line are you on?
She's talking about line
the
30,
administrative fee, 31
31 through 35.
through 35. I'm saying whatever, those are, I believe, primarily based on salary and expense. So
We've always used the same numbers for that, if you look at the numbers for the last.
I think there's,
It's stayed the same, we've basically used the same, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
it's supposed to, what it is, it's supposed to be sharing the overhead, so we're actually charging rent to the other departments
I know that,
and for the other employees.
I know
Yeah.
and it's
But you're saying, should they be adjusted upwards based on?
for the additional costs that the overhead, if the overhead goes up. And when I first came into office in 2018, they used a percentage of the amount of administration that was used. So if administration expenses go up, then that percentage should be applied to that higher amount, as opposed to just taking a flat fee that we repeat from the last year. That's how I understand it works. And it might not be a huge amount, but it's supposed to be a shared cost, so it should be, to me, actual cost. And originally there was a percentage. That's my only comment.
Well, how is your, actually determine that?
Well, the city administration had a formula. They never told me exactly what the formula was, but they had a formula.
Patrick did,
There's a secret.
that was, the only concern I have
It's not a secret, it's based on time.
But I mean,
The only concern I have with that.
Can we kind of move
Yeah.
along here a
Yeah,
little bit?
hold on a second, please. The only concern I have with that is that, some of our enterprises.
It's the state of the enterprise.
It's the state of the
I get
enterprise.
that,
And so,
but we are
and we
going to make some
understand,
adjustments.
and hopefully next year, we will see a big difference.
So,
Okay,
all right, just, that's an observation. I didn't say we should change it any particular way, because there's no way to know right now what it will be.
okay, so if everybody's okay with the revenues, let's start with our city commission.
Okay. So starting at the top of the salaries, of course,
Everything stays the same.
yes, correct. We basically held to our amended budget. We went up on the retirement for former commissioner, that was pension payments. So we had to go up on that to cover that. And we really stayed unchanged. I think this year Steve and I are gonna work, and to have special reports on these conferences and trainings, how we go about them for getting the credit card to the hotels, getting the bills from you all, how that's all handled. That's gonna be changed this year. We're gonna be policy driven and a procedure on how that happens, so we don't have issues like what we had with commissioners not having the right documentation to get savings or other things like that. The other thing too is the other side of it is that you all need to know what you're spending, so we don't spend over what the allotted amount is, and that's really important as well.
And we said that last year.
People need to know what they're spending. I don't know why people are not keeping track of it. okay? I mean, you should always know what you're spending.
Well, there'll be a report with our financial report, separate for each commissioner this upcoming FY. And that's what we're proposing to do.
And my recommendation, I'm just gonna throw this out there, my recommendation is that since we want to bring this down, that we could, take our conference training, each one of us, and take it down to just 500. That should provide mileage for anything, or if there's anything you can do online. A lot of communities are having to really scale back right now, and that would be a 5,000 savings right there. So we'd already chip away 5,000.
And I agree with that, conference. I agree with it.
You know,
Well, I would say that I don't think I did the percent of the budget that we spent on the commission training, or the commission as a whole. It's very small. And I think it's a very important investment to make sure that commissioners get training. If you don't have that training, you're supposed to set policy for the city. You're not as educated as you could be, and that education is very helpful to the city. I think that is a very false economy. And Commissioner Moore has never been to
I was
email.
just gonna say that, for new commissioners, it's very important. But
Okay.
you're an old timer. How long you been here?
But also going, I mean,
Well, I'm sorry, I don't think that's relevant because things change. And for example, I don't think all our commissioners have attended email. I didn't get to go to the first one because of COVID. But anyway, I think training for commissioners is a good thing. And I think it is a false economy. That 1,500 does not pay for anything besides the annual conference, really, when you add in.
which I
yes.
believe, and I do say, that for us to go to that, to be trained,
Yes.
the price that it charges, I just don't, I'm not in agreement that how much it costs for a community to go out there and be trained. We pay our membership dues, and so that always just concerns me with some of the cost of these, and what are we bringing away? You know, what's our takeaway? And
Well,
so-
okay, so I have a response to that. We don't typically discuss what our takeaway is. I think that would be helpful. I do go every year, and I pay for a lot of my own training costs. And every year that I go, I learn something new, and I make important connections. I find important information. It was the legislative conference that I went to, I believe, that I paid for personally, where we first got the heads up that there were changes, significant changes to what we could use the American Recovery Act funds for. That was the first heads up. And that was because I went to ARPA. And that gave us advance notice on that. There are things about managing,
Okay, we need to move on, I'm not
Okay,
gonna
well,
get
you
into
said
that,
what
I
did we
just
get
said,
out of
well,
It's
I
what
was-
you get out of it, and I don't think you get that much out of it, but maybe $500 isn't enough, maybe we can go down the middle and say 1,000. Okay, and that gives back $2,500. And now I'm looking at something else, and I have a question on this, this 8 private organizations.
Yes.
I guess you've rebudgeted that down to 2660, I don't know why we came up with such kind of an odd number, but, who are these private organizations that we're donating to?
This last year, we recently just approved money going over to the library, the school, yes, the ladies group, for helping kids with the book bags. So there are, organizations that.
Pink Mountain Pup, so what we've done in the past, it's usually been about $2,000.
Okay,
The library has always gotten usually 500, this year we divided that up.
yes,
And so what was left, we had put an additional 5,000 in last year because it went to the spay and neuter.
correct.
So that's what took care of that.
Correct, and I was gonna
And
say
then
that, yeah.
the Christian Service Center, that was our contribution. We did 300 to them, I think
Yes.
300 to them, 300, and 100 to Pink Out Putnam.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we should maybe we should bring that down to even 2,000 or whatever.
We can, we originally went back to the 1,000, but when we were balancing the budget, the number was very drastic on the decrease, and I thought that as a city, of course, there are some things that we'll need, and we would put a little buffer in, so the balance that we put in there was a leftover when we were trying to balance it, so we brought it up to 2,660, that's why the number's a little awkward.
So the advertising costs too are, we've gone, the year-to-date in July, there's $734. And we budgeted 5,000 based on other years. We're not anywhere near $5,000 for this year.
No,
Is that correct?
But it
Why?
depends
Why
on
not?
We still have to do the budget advertising.
but all of our budget advertising, usually that's when that big chunk comes.
Okay, that's what I don't understand.
Yes, this next month and
Okay,
two will be.
thank you, I just need.
Yeah, so this month is where the big
Okay.
Correct.
crunch of that comes from. And like in 2024, we were at 5315, so we would already, at 5,000, we could possibly have a deficit there.
I just keep hearing someone saying that we shouldn't give our folks as large a raise as we'd like to. And I really would not like to cut that, okay, I would like to try and give them that raise. We are still very low on our pay scales around here. Food's going up, I don't know if you've done grocery shopping lately. Everything is moving up, it's not just food, but gas, electricity, everything to maintain a home and maintain a house and feed your family is going up. And so I really would like to, move forward with those.
That's included
Increases?
in here,
Yes.
that's included in.
And so therefore, we're gonna have to make some cuts and one cut, like I say, $500 maybe isn't enough for our education, but maybe we can go to 1,000, something like that. That gives us $200 or $2,500 back into the budget, to help. And then again, it's kind of silly, but it's $660 on that, private, giving funds to private people.
Okay.
So, there's gonna have to be little things.
I think even if we were to drop that down to, if we needed to this year, 1,000, just like we did 100 to Pink Out,
On the eight.
900, yeah,
Okay.
300, 300, 300,
Okay,
no
so-
commission, how do we feel about that?
Well, we have an issue there, and we have an issue locally. We gave the 5,000 to ARC for the local unit.
As all communities, I think all the communities contributed to that.
Some of you may be aware and have gotten the email, they're continuing to make appeals for the operation of it. And they don't yet do feral cats, and someone will have to pay for the cost of spaying and neutering feral cats. So apparently they aren't where they need to be.
Well,
And
they're just kicking it off, and so they're starting with the dogs,
I know that,
and then
but
they're
what
gonna hopefully move the cats into it.
okay, but their pricing their pricing and the planning does not include feral cats. And one of the huge issues that we have in Crescent City, I believe it's right here in this block where City Hall is feral cats. And my suggestion would be that we allocate some funding and try to make an arrangement with them to start addressing the feral cats that are in the middle of town.
Well, Ginny Oakwood works very hard, she works very hard on feral cats, I help her with that. There are a few people that track the cats already, I believe most of the cats that were back here have been tracked.
I think so.
Yeah, and she works with, primarily, I think, it's an organization really out of Gainesville, I went up and looked at that, with her not too long ago, which is a very reasonable, price to go up. A lot of times it's free up there in Gainesville. But I just wanna say, half the battle is to get people out there to track the cats. And, instead of feeding them, track them, and then, and keep them, and Jenny will say, hey, we can take 10 cats today, and she will take them. She also works with flagler cats.
Okay, does she take those for free?
She will take them and believe me, she is very dedicated to getting those counts down, and Jenny will work with us on that.
And gets grants, I know she
Yes,
does,
grants.
she's constantly getting grants and looking for grants for that to assist with it, but even Flagler Cats, I think at one point, are they 15 for a feral or 20 for a
I
feral?
think they're 20,
Yeah, 20 for a
I
feral.
know the one in Gainesville, I believe, is free,
I believe
so.
that one is free.
Yeah, and that's kind of a neat place if you ever get a chance to visit that, but the other thing with Jeannie, the other thing that she does, which is very important, or ARC, I should say, does, is they give, low-cost, shots and things like that. I mean, she does a lot, so
I'm not
there's a lot to
criticizing
it.
So,
I'm
so,
talking
okay, so
about
I don't wanna get,
needs.
I don't wanna get down into the weeds with this,
No, I know,
but if we wanna keep 2,000 in there, and then if we can dedicate some of it, because I do believe Interlochen, they make a large contribution to our,
Animal control.
animal control.
No, I clarified that with them.
They've stopped that.
No, they haven't stopped that, but it's not a contribution. What they do is they pay for services rendered. In other words, if animal control picks up animals, they pay for specific things that serve their community. They don't just write a check for 5,000 or 10,000.
Okay,
They dedicate an amount of money and they pay only for those services that are provided to their community. But there's a big difference. It doesn't just go into the general fund budget of the county.
well, it's to assist when over in.
It's to assist
Interlochen.
specifically
Okay.
in Interlochen.
To
So,
get some I'll call it and get some clarification on that, how they do that and how they can actually, is it when they pick a dog up, it's to take care of that dog? I mean, how is
Right.
it?
it's specific,
for that dog.
I think they get a bill, and so
Okay.
what I was proposing wasn't criticizing Jenny Oakwood. What I was saying is, we have feral cats right now that we're taking care of, the ones that are out of residents' pockets, and people are getting tired of it. So I was suggesting that we dedicate some for the cost of spaying and neutering some of the feral cats that are specifically in Crescent City.
I think we ought to move on.
So we wanna keep that at 2,000, do we wanna bring that down to 2,000? Or do y'all wanna keep it at 2660? I don't know where the 660 came from, but.
2,000.
It's
If you go to $2,000 and $1,000 on the travel and the classes, it brings you up to 3,160 of extra money you can put somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've got a live document here, so I'm able to make those changes.
Okay, and Mayor, well, I don't agree with those changes. I think we're cutting off our nose to spite our face.
Okay,
But before I leave, we leave this page, I would like to point out about Commissioner One training for unaudited 2024, that's me. I did not go over budget. The 21-21, I applied for reimbursement for attending a community redevelopment conference, and those funds were supposed to come out of the community redevelopment budget. That was what we decided when we passed the last budget. The check was allocated to the general fund, and the check was taken out of the general fund. And I did not cash that check, but it was, for that 2024 budget, we had decided that training for CRA issues should come out of the CRA, and it wasn't done properly. So that isn't, the 21-21 isn't correctly reflected. If you take $600 out of it, I'm within the $1,500 that we had to spend for training that year for the.
and we don't know where you are this year. Have you submitted any of your bills for this year? Have y'all submitted your bills for the,
I got one
conference?
to submit.
Well, I don't know where they stand, but I won't go over.
Okay.
If I go over, I'll refund it.
Okay,
It's not a problem, but I did not go over in 2024.
so Commissioner, before we move on off this page, we've got, some of our commissioners that feel that we should drop it down and some of you that feel that we should not. So what are we gonna do with this? Commissioner Moore, you got any input on that?
No, I haven't used it.
Yeah.
No.
I have to say that we cut it off, I can't do that. I can barely pay my bills with Rachel and everything else. I'm the sole supporter of my entire household. to go and travel and spend any money
Well,
there in
and-
Tallahassee and the lobby or do any of those things, I can't afford that without the city paying for some of it.
Well, and
So
so
you
that's
will.
why we said.
Huh?
Go ahead. 1,000, if we
Yeah,
dropped it
1,000.
down to 1,000, or if we dropped it down to 1,200, would that still allow you, to do that?
I won't be able to go to a conference without.
I mean, honestly, when I drive, when I travel, I mean, I get an income from being, the mayor. And I kind of look at, that's what I use. I don't use our household funds. It's, that's what I use. So that's where, do we want to drop it to 1,200? Do we want to drop it to 1,000? Or do y'all want to move on and see if there's someplace else we can drop it in other areas?
I think something that would be helpful too in this budget season, maybe not for this year, but for next year, is if you all know exactly which ones you're gonna be going to create some sort of ledger with where you're gonna go, car rental, hotel, whatever, to give us an idea.
We
And
don't
then-
rent cars.
Well, you know what I mean. You need to, there may be somewhere that you go that you fly or something that you have to rent a car or,
We don't fly.
okay. Well,
I don't refly.
I'm going to Washington DC this year. Just to let you know.
Okay, so what are we doing with this?
Well, to me, I think 1,200 is the minimum, but frankly, we raised it to 1,500 because 1,200 wasn't really adequate to cover in conference. And I just don't think that, I think people want to have educated commissioners.
We want to keep it at 1,500, but I'm gonna just say this, if we're gonna keep it at 1,500, and I understand what everybody says, and you're absolutely right, being educated and knowing what's going on is vitally important. It's important for everybody, it's important for our staff is foregone, because oftentimes we don't have the budget to get them trained, but we go and get trained. So, but y'all are also at the same time wanting to reduce our millage. So I think we're not willing to sacrifice on our expenses. So that concerns me. So let's move on and we're gonna keep it at
Or we do
1,500.
have
Okay.
training.
Keeping it at 1,500 and putting the aid to private organizations at 2,000.
Yep.
Okay,
So you just say $660.
correct.
Somebody keeping track of that.
We have it.
Let's move on to the next page, please.
Expenditures for city manager.
You get none.
Yeah.
No soup for you.
Those mainly stayed unchanged from our last meeting. I did make a reduction in the Christmas bonus, or we brought it back to the same, because before we upped that, we brought it back to the 2025 amended budget. I'm sorry, not amended budget, the adopted budget.
Okay.
The FICA, the Medicare pension, these items, of course, are created by a percentage. We went in and took out the percentage because of the rounding issue, but these numbers are based on, I believe, 6.2 for FICA, 1.45 for, 1.75 for the Medicare.
Yeah, please.
Okay, and then.
7.65 total.
Okay, yeah, and then we have
That's what you have for your FICA.
yeah, and then 8.5, or in this one, actually 10% for the pension,
Yeah, FICA is 6.2 and the Medicare was 1.45.
4.5, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so, and then that's the other thing too for the pension. So you're at 10%, but the other employees are at 8.5.
yes. And I'm not sure, we'll talk about it later, but I would like to ask the commission for permission to take Christina's pension and take it to a 10 as well. Her duties are almost as equal as mine at this point right now. She's handling a lot of work with the CRA and with the downtown partnership, and we have a plan to really bolster that up. She's also handling a lot of the direct employee interaction, and that's the plan moving forward. And I just think it's fair for her as an assistant city manager to be able to get 10% as well.
Would you give us a cost estimate, and how much that would cost? What
Yeah.
we have to add into this?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think as we go forward too, I'd really like us to revisit, especially as we have, with the, Florida retirement.
Yes,
If you could just revisit that conversation.
absolutely.
Commission, does everyone agree with that?
I like that.
Yeah,
I think we-
especially as we bring on new employees. it would be a benefit, that's a benefit to them.
And FMIT also does pensions.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart thing for the city, the commission as a whole to look into that and for us to move forward in that direction. We'll get all the information to you. I've been in a city where it was taken out and it really hurt a lot of people. And it also stifles people coming in.
It
That's one huge draw that you can have is say, hey, you come work for us, you can be here for your career and retire with us.
Especially if you've already been within a Florida retirement system.
Correct.
So.
Correct. Moving down the line, their notes, of course, we added some things in there. You'll see the currently shopping healthcare still, we've talked about that today. Workers' comp, we have Brown and Brown in there. We based our estimate and our allocations on Brown and Brown. Now, I don't have it in my computer here, but Steve, in conjunction with Sheila, has a spreadsheet that they've created that actually does the allocation and the spread. And that's what they utilize for this exercise. So again, if you all decide that we're gonna go with FMIT, this is gonna be adjusted, and that does not reflect the couple thousand. I believe they came in probably $6,000 lower than Brown and Brown. And we didn't have that quote until literally 5 o'clock yesterday.
So it's 32,836 is what they.
Where are you looking at?
Off the sheet that they got from FMIT.
Oh, yeah, the FMIT is not, that's
No,
our,
that's what the amount is.
For his total quote?
32,000, right, no, for the workers' comp line.
which line item are you at, sir?
No, you're,
Okay.
it's not in there.
Oh, wait a
I
minute.
was just asking what
Oh, okay.
was Brown and Brown's vote for the workers' comp part of it?
Oh, I don't have that breakdown.
Yeah.
I have the total cost. I'm sorry about that. I'll get that for you.
Commissioner DeVito.
Thank you. So along the lines of what Commissioner Lloyd was asking, for the insurance items on this first page, and this is just the city manager section of the budget. So these insurance items are based on the savings from the quote that was given to you by Brown and Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in other words, they're not based on current year. They do reflect a significant savings. But they are Brown and Brown savings, not, whatever was provided by
FMIT. Yes, ma'am.
And they had, I don't think they gave us figures for the healthcare and workers' comp, did they?
They did
It was
not.
just liability.
Correct.
Okay.
We are waiting on updated numbers. Sheila's been working on that pretty extensively to get our updated healthcare numbers from, I believe, Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Okay.
She just shared with me those have come in, I guess those have come in and they are lower.
Oh, great.
They are lower than they have been, not sure as far as, so she was gonna do a comparison, but I believe that's what she said, is they have come in lower.
Very good.
Okay, so Mayor,
I just asked her in the hall.
we're fortunate with the low revenue year, insurance is actually, not so bad this year. On line 81, auto property general insurance, and that's a very small part of the total for the whole city. The one in the city manager budget, the figure of 3,202. So that's based on the Brown and Brown quote.
That's based on, it looks to me like it was based on the, just for as a placeholder, it was based on the, budget from last year, because it's right there at about $1 less than last year. Is that
Yes.
correct?
That is a correct
Until you get-
assumption.
Until you get that.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, so
That might be adjusted up or down.
right, because for some areas of the budget, it would be significantly less. I mean, this is just a very small part. Okay. I had a question also about line 79.
Okay.
It says they're budgeting for this year $500 less than last year. But there's, quite a list of memberships relating to League of Cities, the Chamber, different departments. Is that $1,000 going to be sufficient for all those costs?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that it will. We put in operating costs and supplies this year at an increase. If you combine them, of course, we have operating supplies for our office, and we've also moved some of those funds. But with that being said, I believe that we have a little bit of cushion to be able to pay for a little extra if we need it. But what I want to tighten it up as much as possible. We only spent year to date, I believe, right at $1,000 or a little bit over $1,000.
But the last two previous years, you spent 1,500. So I think Commissioner DeVito is correct,
Okay.
and that you would want to budget for 500, is that correct, Commissioner?
Well, I would say,
DeVito?
I think even if we have a cushion somewhere else, we should budget for actual.
Okay.
Okay, so if we bump that up 500, so we're now at $66 savings. You keeping up with that?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's live, I'll tell you where we're at.
So if we come up to
$160 right now.
line 7778, you have 1,500, you brought it to 2,500, then you've got 2,000 from last year, you brought it to 2,000. I didn't quite understand, combined operating and office supplies, move to supplies line above.
We originally did that, and when we balanced it out, we put money back in there, that note just needs to be updated.
So yeah, if you would update that note so it's not confusing, because I have that on mine. Okay. We have, and the only other thing that I saw on here is right here where it says IT support contracts. We've already expended $7,400 this year, and we're only budgeting $5,800 for this next year. And the year prior, we were at $6,911. So
Steve and I talked about that, and we believe that that's a allocation error that's gonna be figured out during this audit process. I mean, I don't believe that that's a correct number.
What line item is that?
well, the year prior it came in at $6,911.
Okay.
And I know that's not audited yet.
Right, RFP and contracts.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back and dig in that a little more.
Right, so, because Mary, you're saying year-to-date actual is already up to 7477.
Yeah.
And so our finance director is saying that's an allocation issue.
It could be, we need to get into that specific line item. And honestly, we've talked about this on many occasions, we have not been able to get back to the IT because of all the plates we have spinning and working on this budget. We have not been able to get that RFP completed for you all to look at, so we may be stuck with our IT for
I'm
this.
pretty sure we're gonna be stuck with it because we had an out in that contract, I believe, and I think we
We may be outside of that, I've gotta get with Don, we also may still be in the window where we can, and if we can, as soon as this exercise is over, we're gonna jump over to that and get that started.
okay.
And the biggest thing is that we have their numbers in here, budgeted, some may be higher in other areas, but, we're gonna have to hold them accountable, for the work that they're doing and make sure that they're keeping us safe.
Anything else on this page?
Do you want me to up that to the actuals, Mayor, Commissioner?
No, because I think we're gonna probably hire someone else.
Okay.
That's cheaper.
If we can find somebody.
We're gonna be working on it. And we actually have been working on it. The biggest issue was that we could not find our RFP. The filing system is gonna be changed this upcoming year. We've talked about that, but we could not find the original RFP that won the bid for our current IT contract. It's nowhere to be found. Mel was gracious enough to reach out and to a counterpart and get us the one that Palaca recently used back this summer when they hired their IT. I just haven't had
It's in
time.
there somewhere, it's gotta be in there, it's there
I would-
somewhere. Have you gone through all those files,
Went
all
through,
the file cabinets?
haven't gone through the paper, just the.
You gotta
just the
go through the
computer.
file cabinets, it might not be on the computer, so you're gonna have to go through those file cabinets, it's
Okay.
gotta be there somewhere.
Okay.
And if not, we've got a copy of it in, it should be in an agenda form that we've got a copy of it.
It would save a lot of time, for sure.
Because that contract would have come before us.
And like I said, we do have the digital copy of of what Palaca put together. We just need to modify that.
Okay. Let's move on to page 2, yes, or page, whatever this page 9, Commissioner DeVito.
Who is Wanda? Who is Wanda?
I don't know.
She's our pension plan administrator,
Oh, okay.
the employee pension, Wanda Kemp.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the expenditures for finance. Again, all salaries in here have 5% increased cost of living increase. We went back on some of these items,
Wait, let me just,
sorry,
before you say that, there's a difference between cost of living increase and performance-based. Last year, the 5% was performance-based
Okay.
based on appraisals.
okay,
And so, something that I was thinking about with this, just knowing where we are, is how would that work? You need to have a scale that if you're a 4 and 5, then you get that 5%. If you're a 3, then maybe you get 2.5%.
exactly,
You know, there's an incentive there, not that because you get a performance appraisal, regardless of what's on it, you're gonna get a 5% increase. There has to be some incentive there too.
Okay.
For performance. So I think that we've put in there 5%. I think that that's, in comparison to a lot of communities, that's very generous, but at the same time, we also know where we are in the workforce and our salary range. So I would like for you, to work with Sheila on that
okay,
and Christina and see how you can do that
Okay.
and put some policy in place.
yes.
Commission, do you agree?
Yes.
Well,
I've never gotten, when I had performance appraisals, it was always based on where you scaled, how you scaled.
and I think that's what's been done in the past. We're saying that our salaries are not competitive, but did we not just do an adjustment to put the salaries within the range that were shown by the salary study? We just did an $83,000 increase, that was 77%. And that was supposed to put all the salaries within the range that was recommended by the salary study. So I don't know that it's accurate to say that our salaries are not where they should be for the area. We just did that for this year, and Mr. Wilhart assured us that the budget could support that.
And it does, I mean, and so far it has, but I think that, because I struggled with this, I did struggle with this. And I spoke to someone about it and I felt better afterwards in that, first off, you want to have an incentive. Secondly, we've got some people that will be, that are retiring out. And we've got to make the city a desirable place to come.
Exactly.
And this keeps us competitive, and that's most important because you're only as good as your employees. And we want those employees that are skilled and that are high performers. And that's what we hope for. And I think as long as we continue down this path, but I do believe it does need to be performance-based.
And I brought this up over a year ago, that it needs to be performance-based, and I'm happy to hear that hopefully that's the way we're gonna go. I believe in it, so. Anyway,
So,
yep, take a look.
do we have anything else on this page? The audit, I know I'm still.
Okay, I don't know what the answer was. A question that I had was, where are we with the audit contract? And,
We are in the last year
right,
of a 5-year contract with 2 renewals with them.
okay, so here was my questions, and here's the answers that were emailed just before the meeting started. So the audit cost, the city manager is telling us year-to-date actual cost is $54,100. We don't know what that was over the original contract price, because they give us the contract price, but then if they have to spend more time, then we have to pay for it, correct?
Right, and we'll find that contract, I didn't get time, Commissioner, sorry.
Okay,
The, for 2023, the audit fee was supposed to be $47,300.
right,
That's for the year ending September 30, 2023. The year ending September 30, 2024 was supposed to be $49,700. And then for this upcoming year, 2025, it would be $52,200. That's
Okay.
what their engagement letter says. And that is the last year on here, so we have to go back and get it with them. It seems that there are two It says, upon completion of this engagement with the audit for the year ending September, and that's just a mistake here, but it says September 30, 2026. New engagements can be entered on for up to 2 additional 5-year periods. So we just need to give John to change more about that.
And we're already, just in this, just right here, we're at 64,469 that's been expended in this current year. That's just on this, that's just on the finance section, that's,
Right,
There's
so-
2 audits.
Okay, so I don't,
and that's the thing too, and we need to keep that in mind as well, because numbers kind of skew back and forth, and
Yes.
people have different, don't understand that what was done the year prior, oftentimes we're still paying for it this year.
We paid up until, I think, March for the prior year audit, March of this year for the prior year.
Yeah.
okay,
But I still, I'm with Commissioner DeVito, have we allotted enough money in here at 10,400 for an audit that could possibly come in? I mean, even in 2023, you paid out 11,970. You're still lower than that. And I don't think anybody's performing at a rate that they were 3 years ago.
so Mayor, oh, sorry, did I interrupt?
No, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, so one of my questions is, for audit fees, line 105, year-to-date July actual is $50,000 more than we budgeted for this line item. Is that part of our,
There's safety costs too.
well, is that part of our $108,000 projected shortfall for the current year budget?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's part of the shortfall.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to, while we're here, I know Commissioner Burton, you needed to leave. Are you still okay for right now?
About a half an hour.
Okay, I'm gonna take a break. I know Commissioner Lloyd, don't you need to take? Okay, I'm gonna take just a couple of minute break.
Okay.
Because Commissioner Lloyd looked like this is lunch.
I didn't know I was drinking. What happened to Rachel?
She's right here. Yeah, you will. She's bringing us all hamburgers.
All of us?
Rachel, did you bring us all
I
hamburgers?
originally wanted to do this, but
Okay,
Mayor, before we leave, we're back, I was gonna wait until we're back in session.
if we're back in session, would you please turn the microphone back?
Microphone.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Commissioner DeVito.
Okay, so I'm reading, I'm reading the responses to some of the questions I had, and we were on the line for audits and talking about the overage. So one of my questions was, in what line are the charges for the CPA services? And it says, charges for the CPA services are allocated in the audit line in various departments.
Yeah, so whatever department's got an audit line item is where Julianne has been allocated to.
I'm not really comfortable with that.
I think that needs to be separated out so that we have an understanding of what's in our audit and what's for Julianne.
Right, because the
Do you agree?
audit,
Everybody agree?
yes, because we approved that, that's a contract that we approved. And,
What's the contract that we have for them?
No, we will actually-
James Moore.
Just paying the by,
right, but they're, anyway, and
Well, as needed.
but actually, if she's gonna be ongoing, I think that issue needs to come before us as well, but certainly not long.
and what about W Peacock? Now, that's also another issue, where's being paid, where's that being put?
I believe that's in professional services up in,
Professional services?
yeah,
I have that on my sheet as well.
in finance. That's where we're gonna put Julianne to. We can move her down to professional services in the
Overage of the allocation.
yeah, specific funds.
So which line is that now?
106, under finance.
Right, and so what goes into that now? Professional services, is that for Ms. Peacock for assistance with the, pension?
That's what she's been helping us. That's what she's been helping with, correct? The pension.
Debbie Peacock, yes.
Okay, so is that in 106?
It should be, yes.
But Ms. Klein is not in there.
No, she's correct.
She's just in the audit part.
Yeah, she's been allocated.
So that skews our audit numbers too, and as we go back into contract negotiations, or if we have to do anything with that, we need an actual figure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do we have any other questions on this page?
Okay, that was it.
All right. So we'll move on to expenditures for legal. Contractual fees, we of course changed that to match the contractual set fee, which I would see, but it looks like we've just matched it to the budget of $48,000 for 2025. Other legal services, we added 10,000 in there. I'm not sure if the money for our internal investigation is going to be coming out of the budget this year, if we're gonna be completing that work before the end of this FY. So we're proposing to have $10,000 in the next year's budget, 25-26. We have a known cost of $7,500, but a $650 unknown hourly cost that we could be hit with in that investigation. So we put 10,000 there. Outside counsel,
That's been Commissioner Lori's, is that, you've got it was done? They missed their deadline to appeal to Supreme, or did they?
I think probably another week, but my lawyers.
Okay,
So I don't know if I'll be getting one.
you'll probably get it in last bill.
Because I have you.
do we need to leave that in there, Mayor, or do we take that out?
I mean, I don't think that's a need.
You have to have outside legal counsel.
Yeah.
And he always has that buffer anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. We did drop it down $500. And it's at 2,500 compared to 3,000 on our 2021 budget.
Mayor?
Yes.
I would ask Mr. Holmes about that, because we're not really we're not fully in control of that, that's his recommendation. And as well, year-to-date actual is going to be more than 175, because that is where the payment for Mr. Holmes' attendance at the federal mediation was allocated from, correct? So that's kind of meet or exceed
I
the
always thought that was 4,000, so.
amended budget.
Yeah, I always thought that was about $4,000 that we had in that.
We used to have more.
Yeah, they used to have more.
They upped their fee.
Yeah.
And I think we reduced that, something like that happened. We
Right, but
reduced the outside.
Right, but it depends, because if there's something they feel they don't have the expertise for, well,
And I don't know where you allocated that out of either, because that should have shown up somewhere in the actual payments. Or
Which one
that
here? Under,
was it 27, 25, or however much for, that
That's
we
what
just
I-
recently approved, and he got his check, he submitted that in January of last year.
wait a minute, January of which year?
Of this current year, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. I
He
was
just submitted it in January of this current year, but we just paid it
paid what?
The money
The bill,
for the tax
for him to go to Jacksonville.
Well, wait a minute, we just voted on it this summer.
I understand that, he submitted his bill.
Got it, okay. Got it.
it'll show up in our allocation and we'll make sure that it's allocated properly.
Okay.
Okay, 'cause I
It
asked
looks to
that.
me like it's put into his contractual fees, because his contractual fees are an even number, so, and that was not,
Oh, that's not what we voted, right? Didn't we vote to take it from, outside legal counsel?
Yes.
Because that had not been accepted.
It's just an allocation error, we'll get it fixed.
it's an input, yeah.
It's input, yeah, error.
Okay,
Ready to
Good on
move on to
that?
the next?
Yep.
All right, so we've got expenditures, utility billing, customer service. Again, this shows our 5% increase. I reduced down the overtime to $400. We had $500 allotted, we only used $334. Give me 1 second, Commissioner, I'm sorry. I need to change this back. I was looking at the cents earlier, I forgot to put a flat number, so. Okay, now I can see it, it's a lot easier. Look like millions of dollars. Was it on the printout that way too?
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize.
It's fine.
It'll be fixed. We go through our calculations again, FICA, Medicare, retirement, those are set calculations based on the salaries. Healthcare, life insurance, we do, believe there's gonna be a savings. It's not gonna be significant, as you heard this morning. The one from Brown & Brown was a $7,400 or something, $7,000 savings. That would be, calculated in the spreadsheet that Steve has and then distributed, equally. Employee testing, we kept that same price in, that's a zero net change on that. Workers' comp, this is something Steve and I had talked about. This was an old claim from the end of '24 that wasn't billed until this year, that's why that number skewed. We went back with going with a conservative, but covering the normal cost of the $870 that's typical in that line item, so we have $1,015 in there, went up just a little bit. Professional services, that we went up to what we've allotted so far this year. That was for employee search. We put $300 in that budget line item. Telephone and internet. I know we are strapped with who we have with that, but looking at the bill, it is very significant. I'm gonna be looking into seeing if there are any alternatives, and that even means trying to talk to different providers to come in through our area and working with Putnam County, because it's bigger than just us, it's the whole southern Putnam that needs new services, whether it's high-speed internet or telephone. That
Xfinity does business, they do business phone.
Yeah.
With them, they're in the area, they have their fiber already.
yeah, they brought all their fiber.
Okay.
And what Karen was going through, Suntop at the state, getting us better prices on those contracts. So whatever you do, you might wanna look into the Sun, I don't know, she left any information, yeah, because I don't know, she was in the process of doing that, I'm not sure if it actually went through, but this wind stream system is ridiculous.
Yes, it is, and we're gonna do an all above the approach to that, and so we'll be getting history, we'll be getting current and looking at anything in the future as well, and we'll be trying to save money where we can.
Because I mean, the phone's not working.
No.
Once is ridiculous, and they don't work all the time.
Mine went out twice yesterday,
Right.
while I was on the phone.
Right, but,
I mean, this is just.
well, it's with our internet, as our internet provider too, because that just, our internet's up and down here, and I'm like, I don't have that problem at
I don't
home.
remember. No,
Why is it here
I
constantly
have not had
like
an
that?
outage in 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
Commissioner
we've
Diaz.
honestly had an issue with the internet in here since I've been here, on almost every meeting, and Mel can attest to it. It, for whatever reason, it just goes down.
and she's wired.
Yes,
Yeah,
Commissioner
So
Diaz.
it's something here.
Correct.
Some straight-
Thank you, Mayor. I think,
Wired.
the commission authorized, the city to use Suncom as our intermediary. That's the statewide, state of Florida telephone system. The prior clerk, had worked on that, and apparently if they are used as our intermediary, we are not supposed to have these outages, and apparently they will run interference for us. I don't know if we get a better price, I don't remember that part.
We did.
So I would think that was teed up and we gave the authorization. I would think that would be a primary place to look, because they are there for that purpose.
Do you know when you all did that authorization around
It
about?
was last year, it was in
In the last
2020.
year, yeah.
It was, I think, at the end of 2024.
Okay.
It should be in a meeting minutes, because
Yeah, Michael Brillhart was here, and so,
That information.
so you'll start there, you'll just start there, Derek.
Yep, I will do
So
that.
let's move on if
All
we
right.
can. You've got right underneath that, of course, postage. That's something that we need to figure
Yes.
out, and even if we have to do some sort of an incentive for those people that want to have, their bill electronically,
Yes,
sent to them.
yes,
We need to look at, we spent a tremendous amount of money on postage.
it was the first thing I saw in the budget. I'm like, what's going on here? So, you're right there, and we have a lot of people, that are seniors here in our community. They don't do electronic, but we're gonna look at all the above approach on that for communication, when it comes to getting that information out, and if we can save dollars, we're gonna try.
Now, doing this electronically though, are you gonna have payment online for electronically?
We do that already.
Yeah, but you have a charge for that, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a small
That's why,
fee.
that's
And I
why.
pay online, and there's a charge if you do it by a check. You can either do it by a check and it's a lesser amount, or if you do it by a credit card, there's a surcharge, just like with everybody else, everywhere you go now. I
Well, the reason I-
somewhere there was a $2 surcharge.
The reason I brought it up was, that's why they want you to mail it to them, then they can drop it off. You see what I mean? That's
Well, they
why.
can still come in, and pay it.
And they can still do it by email.
They can still come
Right.
in, yeah, they can still come in and pay
They
it.
don't have to do that.
And, and some people, I think have even set up an automatic.
Yeah, that's how mine is, so mine's the same price, it just automatically debits.
Okay,
So there's options.
I just know that people, there's.
Yeah, they want
Lots
to
of
avoid
options.
that, and so they can still drop the check off. But liability insurance, you have that at $59.64. Looks like last year it was $16.72 unaudited.
Correct.
$1,800 why that number?
I was a little taken,
I'm on 128.
yeah, 128. I was a little taken back by the number, of course, we had discussions about this. This is the based on the spreadsheet allocation. I can't go back and tell you why it was budgeted 1,800. Steve may have more information, but I know that originally, if you go back to 23, it was budgeted at 5,000. I also can't talk about the allocation. We've discussed on looking at some of these items on allocation to make sure that that these items have been allocated properly and not misallocated, but that is the number that came out for the equal share spread. And for that
So that's gonna match what we're allocating this year, according to your estimates.
correct. And this is off of Brown and Brown's current
Whether you look or you're matching. Or state of it.
Okay. It just is a 231% increase.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, last year when we did the budget, I didn't know there was an allocation spreadsheet that you plug a number into and it would allocate it amongst the departments, so.
Okay. Vehicle repair and maintenance, you've got, we put 2,000 in there. Of course, none of them except for Corey. What's his coming under the meter reader?
I believe that's what this is possibly for,
That's, for Corey's truck.
for Corey's truck, or the vehicle.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that we're gonna look at this year is possibly entering into and I'm gonna bring it to you all once it's complete, but, a proper maintenance, program. We don't have that now.
And I understand that, and that'll
Yeah.
be great in the future.
Right.
Right now, we gotta look at today.
Okay.
So,
We can allocate more dollars there. I saw where there was nothing this year. If you went back and looked at the prior unaudited 24 and 23, there was nothing there. I just felt like the budget was super tight, so we could squeeze those monies out of there this year as well. And if we needed to pull from somewhere else, we put a little bit more in public works and other vehicles, we could do that if we needed to this year.
it would seem to me that that truck is being serviced. Keith, do you know anything about Corey's truck?
Still new.
How's it being serviced, oil change and all of that?
Oh, yeah, he takes it to Shepherd's when it needs it.
Well, there's gas in
If
there.
we're busy, he'll take it to them. If not, he'll get with Ronnie.
So he's putting it under that, but other than that, it's okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Well, then you should be okay with, that. Equipment repair and maintenance,
Yes, equipment repair and maintenance, this is a line item that has not had any money gone through it this year, but I was told, of course, it's for the handheld meter reader annual fee. Steve may be able to talk a little bit more about that for the building department, how that's allocated or why there's not any money in there at this present time. I don't know if it's something that's billed at the end of the year, but this is again one of those line items that we were gonna investigate to see what the allocation issue is there. 3,000 was in the previous budget. In this instance, being that it's the meter reader, I went ahead and put 3,000 back in the budget again. And those are one of those items, if we need to take money from there and put it into vehicle repair and maintenance later, we can do that as well.
okay. IT support,
Yes, this is that current contract cost share. Again, this is our current IT contract, and this is the share for them. We've expended $6,556 to date through July. Anticipate a little bit more. We put $6,800 in the budget to cover. $8,000 was last year, so it is a small decrease, $1,159.
And in the prior year, I believe Jocelyn had,
We're gonna go and do that.
some training done.
again, we're gonna bid it out, but,
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
but we all know that we're gonna get a better,
Yeah,
that we're gonna get anything better, so it's still those unknowns that we've got there. I'm almost wondering if we would not it might be more advantageous to us at this point in time, because we don't have on-site anymore, that we do a part-time, rather than pay this for the IT. I think that's something that I would look into, is that we have a part-time.
And part of that fee is also just our Microsoft 365 subscriptions. That would have to continue.
And
I
that
mean,
would,
it's-
because
it's 20.
but isn't that in our hardware, and licensing?
No, that goes in with the IT.
So they're mixing
It-
it,
it- it-
okay.
It all comes from the same bill.
Right, so Mayor, if you do a part-time position, my concern about that, and I know we talked about that at different times. A firm has multiple people and multiple expertises, and they keep you up to date. IT has gotten to be multifaceted, to involve.
I understand,
It's almost like, it's like hiring a lawyer.
I understand.
So that's a little bit difficult, but, it's, the cost has grown and the need to.
Well, and the cost here is growing, and it doesn't seem as if we're getting that same,
Well, no argument level.
so, okay, anything else on this?
just want to bring attention, maybe you saw it or not, in that IT support back in '24, the audited $11,900. That included items for admins and training and other things that we did. So that's, I didn't want that to skew your ideas of what the budget was. It originally was $7,100, $8,000 last year, and of course, we're coming down a little bit lower on that.
What line item is that?
Same line item we were discussing, ma'am, IT support, line item 132.
You out of here, Commissioner Burton?
Yeah, pretty much out of here.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Okay, so you're saying 132 included Edmonds?
Back a few years, the $11,000 in the 2024 amount.
Got it.
Yes, I just wanted to bring, if you were looking at that as a decision maker for you, I just wanted to explain what that was. Office supplies, we went down $2,000. I think we're just gonna have to be smart with the money we have. I think we're gonna have to try to save on paper, and this is collectively as a group, I think we can do that. So I did cut that. We only spent $1,500 this year, so far, and I believe that we can get by with $2,000. Gas and oil. See what
That's for the car.
Okay, all right, so then there's that, yeah. We had 3,000 budgeted, we've only used 1,648, I put 2,000 in there and dropped that down from the last year's budget of 1,000, so. And then we have membership, training, at $1,000, which I went up on that as well.
Where do our cleaning services come out of? So is that at the city hall? I was trying to see what that was under on city hall. It's like 93, I think we pay like 93.60.
I believe so, yeah, because I think the total bill is like 180, so I believe it's, 9360
Yeah.
is the city hall share of that,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay, so let's move on to planning and zoning.
All right, planning and zoning, we had Zevco and charges and the other professional services back in '24. Unaudited, we budgeted last year 5,000. We haven't covered anything, we haven't used any funds out of that. I put that at $0. I added the money into the other line item for Zevco. And I've got a note still here, which we're gonna work on that to break out Zevco and cost and versus any type of consulting fee from CPH or Midtower. But we did increase the cost for Zevco from the original budget of $45,025 to $50,000. And you'll see 18, that's just because we had some leftover monies when we were balancing everything out. They've expended $47,000, and I believe, is that all Zevco or is that maybe CPH? We have to take a look at that.
That's someone at
It's,
CPH.
okay, it's both.
Yeah.
So right now it is both. We're gonna have that
Yeah, you
separated.
need to break those out
Yes.
so that we know for
Yes.
engineering services and for
Correct.
planning and, okay.
And Zevco should be, I guess, is there a different line item, account that says other professional services and other?
And usually they're tied into a grant unless it's something that we have to look at from
Yes.
our perspective.
CPH.
But cost,
It's just weird, this is other professional services, under planning and zoning, I would just think that'd be professional services.
right,
I had that too.
That's who our contract is with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and we can make that change. We kept it where it was
yeah.
historically, right, and where it was utilized, but we can of course make those changes, that's not a problem.
And always when you're doing these, look at this as if somebody else is looking at it. Look at it as if somebody else is looking at it,
Yes, ma'am.
like that.
And can we take the recodification line out, since we've done with that,
That should,
we recodify.
we have to have it in there for how many years, but it's done.
Yeah,
I think it's done.
What is it?
the recodification line.
Oh.
132, I believe it's done.
This one.
I'll just.
I'm a little bit
bit
confused about that.
2024.
I know, and it was the fee for that, so that fee is, I think what happened is that fee came in under other.
Yeah, I think the fee is misallocated because I don't think we paid for it prior to 2023.
So you're gonna wanna look at that.
Okay,
Right, I think there's something wrong there. And then, Mayor, I have one more question. In
Yes.
general, we talked about bidding, IT and bidding the auditor. When was the last time we bid our planning and zoning services?
I don't have an answer to that, ma'am, but I will get into the historical files
And when
and
does
find
our
out.
contract, because I asked that question, I know he's on vacation. I asked the question,
Yes.
is there gonna be a fee increase? What's the fee increase, and have we incorporated that in here?
Yeah, and I reached out to Rebecca Cottle, but she doesn't know, and he's not replying to emails, but as soon as I find
He's on
out.
vacation right now.
Alright, well, one of my concerns is, we asked them a while ago, when they did the land development code and, do you have expertise in historic preservation? And I think they said no, didn't they?
Yeah, it's not a specialty of theirs, no.
Right, I think they said no, they don't have that, but just in general, and that's something that is apropos to Crescent City, but just in general, I think it's been quite a while since we hired him. And we haven't done a big,
Yeah, it was Charles, right, that hired him.
So that was too long ago, that was 3 years
So
ago.
it's
That's
been,
well
I
back.
think about 4 years anyway.
And with
3 years anyway.
Mark Pratt was the director of the planning department, he was the one doing all the work. With Rebecca, she's a planner one or a planner two. Wouldn't that be a lower per hour charge? I mean,
they charge, they have a scale.
yeah, it should be
Yeah,
based
they would
on,
have to come back with,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm just saying that they've hired Rebecca, and Rebecca's been doing all the work now. I think Mark has just been here holding her hand, but in the future, it's Rebecca's been doing the staff reports.
Correct.
Mark
And so-
does Pearson, they do
And they do
Pearson
Willaca.
and they do Willaca, because I was sitting in Pearson in one of their council meetings a couple of weeks ago, and he was sitting right in the front, I was like, I know him.
I mean, with, now that, I think Rebecca's, they got her on board and she's doing the staff reports now for all of our, just comp, kind of minutes and stuff like that. So I mean, I would think that it'd be less, a lower hourly charge, it's not the director, it's a planner one, a planner two, I don't know which way that goes.
Well, they have,
Junior and, they all have a different hourly charge.
they have a schedule, because when they send it the bill, they show you, they charge less for Rebecca.
Right, which is, that's what I'm saying, that she's gonna be doing most of the work, so it's not gonna be as expensive as having the boss do it.
Okay, let's move on to 13.
Okay.
How much will we cut so far?
$1.80.
$160.
Okay. So we're on City Hall.
Yes, sorry, just getting my, scrolling back up.
I'm glad we took workers' comp off the City Hall, I don't know what to say there. Safe travels, Mr. Burton.
Yeah, why is that the way I feel like that? Well, just a way out of it. So we'll start out, City Hall workers' comp, of course, that $4,800 was reallocated, percentage to a separate fund. Steve can talk about that, if you'd like to address that.
Yeah, I just took the 4,800 and divided by how many accounts get charged for workers' comp and just applied it to that.
Okay, sounds good.
Under professional services, the number, just so you all know, year-to-date is very high. That includes the $25,000 for Paul Weaver for the historical grant.
Maybe 50,000?
Yeah.
50,000.
Yeah.
50,000 total,
Yeah.
just to date, I believe at that time. And I'll let you
We
know.
got one
Yeah.
came back, okay.
Yeah, and just so you all know, I'm in the process of completing the task with the DOS to get us reimbursed the 50,000. Everything's been submitted, they're waiting on one more document from me, and I was gonna work on it as soon as we're done with this, but I've been in contact with our state grant specialists, and they're perfectly fine
Yeah,
with
because
it.
I know there's a deadline, so
Yes.
please get that submitted so that we
Yeah.
can't lose out on that.
Yes, already paid Paul.
Yes, ma'am. 65,000 for Robert Taylor, that's our design for the fire station. So in this line item, professional services, we don't know what we're gonna have. Of course, these are expenditures. We put in $20,000. Go back to audited 23, we had 14,000. Unaudited, we had 24, we had 42, but only in 25, we had 23,000. So we figured we could skim that just a little bit and take some out of there. If you all feel we need to have more in there, we can definitely have that conversation. The audit, again, this was attorney fees and pension plan actuary reports for the audit. This was Julianne services as well, but they're also located in audit expense account for City Hall, gas, water, and sewer. So I believe those are split, correct?
Correct, and those ones, we're gonna move Julianne out and move her to professional services.
Correct.
Right, Mayor, I have a question about professional services up above. Okay, so for Robert Taylor, for the fire department building, that was not all paid for by grant?
No, it's been paid for right now in a general fund because that's an appropriations that we're getting. He got, I believe, 12.5 from ARPA, the
I
initial
believe, yeah.
12.5.
Exactly, yeah.
And then this additional amount of money is what we've got, and they've got to submit, but that's the legislation that we received.
Was that like,
Appropriation.
We got $1 million appropriation.
right, the question I have about that is, I think some of his costs weren't reflected, they weren't covered by the appropriation, and I have some memory that we might have said some of his fees should be taken out of the police plan.
I think we discussed trying to use the appropriation.
Maybe that's where we put, was that the fire came out, it came out of ARPA, didn't it? The initial 12, was that Better Place or ARPA?
Well, there might have been.
I'd have to take a look, it's.
We're gonna have to look at, so
Yeah.
the concern is with the fire department, with the fire station.
Right.
First off, there's gonna be new conversation that's probably gonna come up in September. It has to come up in September.
Right.
But with the fire station, we basically said to Mr. Taylor, all in $1 million. It kept coming and he was still coming over, and I think that's what you're talking about,
There
is
were
that over.
components of his service.
Yes.
Because I specifically asked, there was something else he needed to do. And
And,
it was over the
we
million.
kept saying, you need to come in under $1 million and see what happens is, of course, that hasn't been bid out. And so we really don't know with those construction costs. We're hoping they would come in under what he's estimating.
Right.
Probably won't, but that's for a conversation.
Yeah.
But some of these monies, when we do receive the appropriations, it will come out of that. We're just gonna have to figure out how much.
Well, two things. One, I think at one of our last budget workshops, we did ask for an ARPA expenditure report, did we not? We talked about the deadlines, and then we asked for a report.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I've had it, I just didn't send it to you, I'm sorry.
Okay, they might be in some of this, so I think that would help us clarify what we've paid for, because one of the original purposes was fire. So the mayor may be absolutely correct. And then, but Mayor and Commissioner Lori, am I right about this? If we need to pay for services relating to the fire station, the replace plan,
We can,
can,
because professional
provide that.
services.
Yes,
And
we can.
related to stuff relating to an infrastructure.
right, providing that infrastructure. Okay, just want to be clear on that. But so this is all in progress, is what we're saying
Yes.
at the moment, okay.
All right, so moving on down, pension consultant, this is for, was this for the?
Is Wanda?
Yeah, it's one
Yes,
account.
Wanda, okay. And so, of course, we brought over, what we had last year. We've been up a little bit this year. We don't anticipate having the same, next year, cost. So we didn't bring that budget in where we had it last year. Telephone, internet, that's another one. This was allocation. We decided, we hadn't paid that much this year. And we're almost done with the end of the year, so we backed that number down a little bit, and we're gonna be working on that as well.
Utilities, we're almost, you're at 10.5. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, we've talked about that. I'm gonna come to you all. I have an idea. We've talked about it. I know Mel, myself, Mayor, you've had issues in here working. The lights are very hot. They're not updated. We've talked about possibly putting in some things, utilizing some of the funds that you all had already approved to upgrade our actual city building and infrastructure, our AC, our lights. These will be energy efficient as well. And so hopefully we can bring some of those utility bills down. That's the hope.
And there's also a program that Duke Energy does, I know that's not our provider, FPL, but they go in and they can upgrade all your lights and then amortize the payments and comes out of your power bill, the money you're saving kind of thing.
Okay.
They do all kinds, it's one of those things that we saw at the FLC conference.
I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, they have programs.
Okay. I wonder if that can help.
And they do that specifically with government municipal customers, just because they know we're gonna pay them.
Yeah, FPL may have similar programs. We'll look into it.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we could probably.
But again,
And there's options out there.
I'm going to stress, to do any of that's gonna cost some money too.
Sure.
But we need to look at today, where we are today,
Yes, ma'am.
and knowing that we want to, take care of that in the future. That's great, but for today, you're still comfortable with 10.5 for our utilities.
I'm comfortable. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor, I have one question about utilities, just real quick. the city pays quite a few water bills for parks and facility and other facilities. Is utilities just electric, or is there some water? And I don't have to know right away.
I'm making a note of that.
City does pay the water bill.
Yeah, we have a whole list, every address the city has, whether it's a park or, the water tower or whatever, they all pay their water bill separately.
And hopefully we don't pay taxes.
I wouldn't think so.
It would just go back to us, but that would be kind of silly.
No, I don't think we do,
That's why we're just not taxable.
because we sign those checks. Okay, just a question, don't make an answer.
Rental and leases. 3,000, looks like we've paid 42.3 so far this year. What's that, what is that?
It's probably that copier, probably the postage machine, things like that.
Okay.
And we keep moving down, liability insurance, same as before, building maintenance and repair. I believe that, that money from building maintenance and repair came in, correct me if I'm wrong, $70,000, that portion of.
That was part of the budget.
That was part of, okay.
That was for the budget amendment, that was for any of the upgrades that we did for the
Correct.
office, for the painting, we moved the painting out of that to the better place.
Correct.
I still want to budget for 15,000. We have older buildings. We have things that are going to be unforeseen. Things for buildings that we may not even be utilizing, that others are renting right now, just unforeseen. So while the budget was $8,000 before, I figured we'd go ahead and double that, and put it in at 15,000.
We already know, so Keith, for the county, office.
115 or something.
So what are we doing there as far as how much are you estimating that's gonna end up
Well,
costing?
Patrick has all the quotes on it,
Uh-huh,
and that's really all I know right now, but I will tell you this, the roof is leaking again
again,
in a different spot.
in a different spot.
So Patrick texted me this morning. I got Sotillo going over there to try and look at it, see what's going on, but if it keeps on, we're going to put a new roof.
I was just gonna say, I think at some point we need to bite the bullet and we're gonna have to, I would have Sotella just tell us what's the best thing to do.
I'm gonna get with them in South State and see if we can maybe do some type of roll roofing over what's there and just maybe help it. But we're looking at around $2,500 if we take the unit off the roof, because we're gonna go with split units.
Okay,
And I think the split units, I don't have the figure on it, Patrick does, I think they're about 10 grand.
total?
Yeah.
Installed?
Yeah.
So we're looking at probably about 13,000? Okay,
And that's for, Sotillo to go up there and take the curb out, refix the roof.
okay.
We'll take the old AC off and get rid of it, and they will disconnect the gas and turn it off.
Yeah, we can't do a CRA thing for ourselves. Okay.
All right, moving down, equipment repair, and maintenance. They had 2,000 in the budget, we used 1,300 this year, I just put 2,000 back. Miscellaneous repair, I'm sure that's for, either copiers or other things that have gone awry that they've used that for. Going down the line, advertising general, this is general advertising, I know I deducted that. We haven't used, not even 2,000 this whole year. 24, it looked like there was used 3162, we had 7 in the budget for last year. I reduced that down significantly, by $5,000 to 2,000, to $2,000. On other, this was another one. The number is skewed because that was an expense for Red, White, and Boom.
Pass-through expense, so
Correct.
can you notate that somewhere so that the, how much was received and where it went into? So there's a notation there to reimburse for that. So it doesn't look, so if somebody's looking at this in the future, they don't think that we paid.
Yeah, all the money that we
Yeah.
have received reimbursement, it's all been miscellaneous.
Commissioners, do you agree with that we have to, we need some sort of
Absolutely.
a note there, yes?
Okay.
Clarity is very important.
Yeah, we will put that in there. So again, I cut that a little bit, I'm sorry, I did cut that a little bit from the last year's budget of 5,000 to 2,500.
We have an overage there, so that's gonna show an overage at the end of the year, so, I mean, we're gonna have that overage, but we're gonna have an overage also in those miscellaneous revenues that were received, because that's where that money was deposited into, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
IT support, same as before, IT licenses. The operating supplies, we go down, we have 3,300 budgeted. Operating supplies, I feel that we could tighten up on as well. I reduced that by $1,300 for a budget of 2,000. We've spent $2,500 year to date in that. And again, that's just gonna be me working with our staff to be cognizant of what we're spending, what we're doing. It's
And
gonna
you
be,
know what operating supplies are gonna consist of. That's the biggest thing, is you gotta know what operating supplies, what we're talking about when we're talking about operating supplies and what it consists of. So
okay,
you'll know what to be frugal on.
yes.
Accounting billing software, we're paying for admins, and then the information management system service.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Can we
continue.
please get rid of that one?
I don't think we can.
You have to keep the old
Yeah,
one
yes.
for a very long time.
Yes.
How long is long? I mean, it's got,
I'm
and
sure it's record keeping, it's got 7 years or longer.
why wasn't there a reason, why isn't there a way to mitigate or to, what's it called, migrate it? Migrate it or output it in paper, I mean, it just seems
My
silly.
understanding was that at the time, I guess, that there was not enough money to bring all the information over, that's what I was told. So that's why we're still keeping that. And then Jocelyn did get the cost reduced, I think by half.
I was gonna say the cost has been reduced.
Yeah,
Because the
Jocelyn, yeah, she-
services they're provided, it's not the same services. So that has been significantly reduced.
Yeah, I think it was reduced by half, I think.
But yeah, we've been paying for that. We knew we were gonna have to, that it was gonna.
Correct.
IMS.
Moving down office supplies, we kept it the same. We've only used 2,000 out of that account this year. We budgeted 25 last year. I'm proposing $2,500 as well. And then Steve, you want to talk about the transfer to the CRA?
Yeah, that's just basically the cost that we're gonna have to, money we're gonna transfer to the CRA based on our 95% allocation.
Right, those are the tax finance.
Correct.
funds.
Yes.
Yes.
That's our portion.
Yes.
It's not the county's.
Not the county's.
Okay, do we have any other questions there?
Next, we'll move over to our expenditures for law enforcement. As you all know, they did a contract extension of the existing.
They're under the same situation we are right now with the budget.
Yeah.
And so, Derek, I don't want to take away from you, but I think that needs to be recognized that our sheriff, he did that. And I'm very appreciative.
So then we see Gator next week.
Make sure you thank him, because they've done this really kind of at a loss year after year.
They didn't give everybody raises in October, so I mean, their costs are paying out on that.
Yes.
So,
And this year, I don't think my understanding in talking to the chief is that there might not be so,
I mean, well, I will say thank you for letting us know, because yes, we want to thank him. I always say we are contributing our part. I think it's to their advantage to have the additional staff in South Putnam. But the other thing is, I think we have to be aware that at some point this is going to go up, and we have to plan for that.
yes.
and we truly thought this year,
Yes.
walking into that, thinking that we would definitely have to see some sort of an increase. And so,
Yeah.
I personally am extremely appreciative of both the
Yeah.
chief, the major, and the sheriff, that they see that the investment they've made here in our community and the importance of it, so,
Are you ready to move to fire?
yes.
All right, so expenditures for fire, first line item, executive salary, that's gonna be for our fire chief, that is the new, salary for the current chief. Staff salaries, of course, we've also included that 5% increase. Christmas bonus, we reduced that back down to what was previously, in the 2025 budget to $200. Employee incentives, right now, the county is providing most of their certifications and qualifications they can get through the county free of cost. However, not to take away from the incentives up there, there are volunteer incentives at the bottom. If you go down to line item 192, we had $30,000 in the budget last year. I'm increasing that $5,000 to $3,500 total.
35,000.
35,000, I'm
But you
sorry.
understand what
Thank
those
you.
are, but that's for the volunteers, that's,
Yes.
that's for their incentive pay.
Correct. So then we'll bounce back up, all of the FICA, Medicare, the pension, fire share, all of that. The equation, Steve put together a spreadsheet and allocated properly for that. Life insurance as well. This is something that we've talked about with Ms. Sheila. This is something separate. We're anticipating hopefully getting the savings there as well. But we put in for what we had in the budget. Last year, we've only expended $428 out of the $700 budget, so we put $700 in there.
And that's different. Do we have life insurance in all the other departments? Or it's just
fire? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So moving on.
Don't we have the, I'm sorry, I don't
No,
mean to
you're
interrupt, we do have one person that has life insurance through the police.
Yes.
She's in her 90s.
Yes.
And she is carried on, I know she's carried on that policy.
Yes.
And so is that covered does that come out in, where does that come out in?
We do have that here because I've seen it, but do you remember?
No, I'll talk to Sheila,
Okay,
because I know she was quite concerned about switching over, that we still were able to provide that to that one retired officer.
and she paid, and
And I think
she keeps that very current annually,
Correct.
year to year.
Yes.
All right, so moving down, building, repair, and maintenance, we had 25 in the budget. Last year, this is more, I'll be honest with you, a little bit of a cushion line item. We're looking at a couple of issues now. I know this year, we've got some leaks over there. I recently got some quotes. The chief sent, I believe it was last night. He had 3 companies that he contacted. Only one of them actually came out. The other 2, one didn't call him back, and the other one never showed up after they scheduled an
What was
appointment.
the quote, how much was the quote?
I don't remember, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
Who showed up?
I don't know, I'd have to go back to his email, that's just what he had said. It was a quick passing before I came in here, I was checking it this morning. So I'll get answers to that, but this $2,500, of course, it's just for miscellaneous repair. We're gonna be working on getting a new building, but timeframe of that I'm not even sure of, so I think we should still hold true to what we had budgeted last year. We've only used in this line item $270, I think $2,500 is fair to budget as an expense on that. Vehicle repair and maintenance, I put $7,000. We've gone over that budget this year. I'm not quite sure if that's an allocation. Arrow, we had $5,496 in '23.
The old chief was saying that we needed to go up on that, in the gas, oil, and tires, because the cost kept going up.
Okay.
And
That would go, that's
we're-
gas, oil, and tires down here though.
Well, I mean, also, we're talking about vehicle maintenance.
Yeah.
That was another thing I thought I kept seeing that in this report.
Well, he wants a new vehicle too, so.
Well, I mean,
And I think that's a
that's the case,
discussion
but
that
chief
we definitely would have in the general budget, in the general fund though, we're definitely not gonna put that in here. We originally were, but we tightened it up. We were looking at possible lease options. I don't believe that the Better Place plan will allow us to do a lease option, but I also, was told, I'm getting kind of conflicting stories on the unit itself. And I'm being told that the unit itself, our fire rapid response unit will be fine for the next couple of years.
Okay.
So, yeah, we took that out of the budget. Equipment repair and maintenance, 2,000 for that again. Then we get down to the volunteers, I told you about that, we're at $35,000. This other, I had a placeholder in here. This is where we originally had new fast response vehicle. The note on the side, do not worry about that, it's gonna be removed. This 500 is gonna be a $500 placeholder for an incidental or other unforeseen, items that come up. IT support, that's another, that's it, sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Is
sorry.
that your knee?
No, it's
Sorry,
always
dropped my phone.
Oh, I thought maybe when you said that, your knee just came up and hit
But I
the.
hit my knee at the same time.
Knee jerk reaction.
Yeah.
So operating supplies, $2,000, they've expended, $899 so far this year. I will tell you that most of the operating supplies are being, graciously given to us from the county. County has a big foothold, here in helping, that fire station down here, and we're very grateful for that. So I put 2,000 back in the budget again, for any incidental operating supplies that they may need. Gas, oil, tires on the next line item, 198. Put it at $2,500. We've expended 2,000 so far this year. I anticipate, trying to tighten that up a little bit, but with a vehicle that's aging, we're probably gonna spend it. So we, we've only spent 2,000 so far this year, 2022, I think 25 will be fine. I did add a little bit of more money, doubled, or a little bit over doubled the budget from last year. We haven't utilized it as much. These are gonna be for above and beyond courses that have to do with mitigation, safety hazard, things that'll be needed, that maybe the county doesn't provide. They should be providing most, they said that they would, but I believe us making sure that we have proper training in for our fire department is important. Hopefully, we have new people coming in as well for volunteers. They're gonna need extra above and beyond training, because honestly, while the county does maintain most training, there's some that's probably not provided, and these individuals that are volunteers are basically taking the
They have to
same
take the same.
certifications as someone getting paid. So there's a lot of
Yes.
money and effort in that.
Yeah.
Whether it's even driving somewhere and doing it, that's what these monies will be there for, to help out.
No, Chief Pikeville hosted us several times to kind of see what they do, and
Yeah.
he's explained that.
This is, when you come up to, when you look at, where was it? So year to date in the 185 pension fire city share, we have, in the past, we have been very fortunate and not had to contribute. But this year, because of the more activity we've had with our volunteers, it's my understanding, is that's driven it up because there's an increase there. But I do believe, did we not receive, that's not the total amount that we received a refund, was there not
Yes,
there was a refund, so that's not the total amount.
that is not the.
So I would like a notation somewhere when you say talk to Sheila, that we have a notation about how much of that was refunded back to the city. And then also, when we're talking about the fire department, as we go forward with our, with our new appropriations and with everything going on with this, we're gonna have to have a pretty deep conversation. I think the commission, as soon as we possibly can, I think we probably need a workshop before we go into, I don't even know if we can do that. I would hope we could even do it possibly before September 10th. Just so that if we can, just to have, I don't know if you'd be ready for that or as soon after September 10th.
Are we talking about?
In September, we need to have a workshop to talk about where we are with the fire station, what options we have before us. We've got legislation, we've got the appropriations clock ticking from the first amount. The commission's gonna have to really look at some things. We might even have to do a site tour. So I would ask that you put that together.
Yes, and we've been slowly working on a couple of things for that. Keith has been element in that and working on some other alternatives. So we'll put something together. I think we can have something together in the next week or two, right? Okay.
And that's something too that we as a commission need to think about too, is if we were to ever, how we could partner, if we could partner at all with the county.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know JR would run to be a a strong resource to talk to, and how that partnership would work and how it benefits how it benefits both us and the county. Because they're running calls, and right now I think a lot of the Georgetown station is running calls all the way on the south end, and we're much closer.
Yes,
So
and I think they said it's 70%, 60%, it's a really high number, so
it's up high.
very painful for the county.
So that's something that we should at least explore that and have that conversation.
Yes, would you like, Mr. Grimes to be here as well?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll make sure that that happens.
Y'all good with that, commission?
Yeah, because I think that we need to keep a line of communication open, that hasn't really been in the last, recently, in the
And
recent past.
because what you're getting, what you're seeing, and it's across the board now, and we're hearing that in the industry, is that we rely so heavily on our volunteers.
Yes.
And volunteers are training, they're having to do the same amount of training that a firefighter, class one firefighter's having to do. And that volunteerism is kind of going away, and we're seeing that all across the board as our new youth are coming in and what they're willing to volunteer when they actually want those benefits, they want that pay.
Right.
And so we have to be positioned for where we need to be in the future.
But
Yes,
there's-
Commissioner DeVito.
Also, with the increased need for training.
Yes.
Working people can no longer afford. It used to be that people who lived around town could just jump out and go help.
Yeah.
But now when you have to have how many weeks and hours of training, they have to work their regular jobs and can't get the time off. You're really no longer a volunteer, you're kind of a trained professional who doesn't get
The
paid.
benefits.
And I believe many of our volunteers come from outside the county and they're already in the profession.
Well, no, we've got several of them. Jeff, Eric, they live right here in town.
But there are,
Tim Duke, I think he lives right here in town, but
right,
some
there
of
are
them do,
but
some of them do.
the percentage is not.
Not what it used to be, and Chief Highfeld really helped this along, and that was through that in volunteer incentives.
Yeah.
And really strengthened that, so.
Mayor, one more thing I wanted to say, that when we opted out of the county tax,
MSTU.
right, yes, there was the MST, the taxing unit, which only people would pay at their own pay. So that brought in then about $70,000 of revenue that went to the county.
Right.
To me, another issue to discuss with the county
Yeah, it was about 60 or 70, yeah.
would be if it went into their general fire operations. If we went back in to that tax, and that would be an additional, amount that those
That
who
would be
pay
a
out of
separate, it would be an
Right.
MSTU.
It's a
Add
separate
on,
thing,
yes.
so I don't know, we didn't discuss that at the time. Would it be possible to make sure that at least a portion of those funds were allocated for Crescent City area needs? I don't know if they can do that. That would be one, and then the second thing I would like to revisit, I know the county doesn't want to do a municipal service benefit unit. I believe we could do our own, that would mean that every parcel would pay, whether they pay our dorm or not.
Right.
But it would mean that everyone would pay something towards fire rescue. The sticking point there was, Bobby Pickens, when he was our attorney with Holmes and Young, said that the cost of developing an ordinance would be $70,000 at that time. We didn't feel we had $70,000. I mean, kind of like you have to spend money to bring in that revenue. But I would like to inquire as to whether it actually would cost us $70,000 to have our own MSBU. Because between the city and the county, we lost $70,000 a year of revenue that used to support county fire services. That's a lot of money.
We did, but what's also happened, it's
Yeah.
my understanding, and you'll see that through, and just like what Derek said a moment ago, is that the county is still contributing upwards of about 60,000 towards our fire
Well,
station.
but that's what I mean,
I know.
they're still helping us.
They're still helping
but
us, and at
we-
some point, they're gonna say,
Right.
we're done, because we can't do it anymore.
Okay, but that's why I want to ask the question, if we
Okay, so
went back in.
that's something to ask Dawn about, how we would, what we need to do, and so we'll bring
For the
Dawn into this
MSBU.
conversation, we'll bring Dawn into the
There's-
conversation too.
There's two different things.
Rejoining the MSTU or doing an
So we would do an individual MSBU, which would have to go, really, it would have to go to the, has to go to the ballot, and
Right.
it'd be on 2026.
And you have to do a study.
And you have to do a study, And that's where all that money
The
was,
amount would be and all that stuff.
it's like with every study. I don't know why I didn't get a degree in studying.
But
Um,
it depends what you're studying, unfortunately.
Anyway,
Yeah. I mean, fire
So if we-
services are not free,
no,
and.
no, they're not, and they're necessary,
Oh,
and, okay, so let's move on to code enforcement.
Code enforcement, not a lot of changes here. We had a 5% increase. I took back and reduced the Christmas bonus back to what the Christmas bonus was last year. I'm not sure why it wasn't extended.
I thought they were expended, they just weren't allocated on our line item.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but Steve and I are gonna work on that, and I'm gonna get
I'll
some.
pretty much tell you if it wasn't there, you probably would have known.
Yeah.
It's just where they put it. If they lumped it into just one big sum, you know,
Right.
where they put it.
Right. FICA, Medicare, retirement, all that the same, telephone, the same story, IT, the same, gas and oil. We had $1,500 last year. She has a single, I guess, it's a truck, full-size truck. It's not a cab, what do they call that, full cab, what's a single cab? Regular cab, sorry. Regular cab truck. They've expended so far on that truck this year, $1,000, a little over 1,000. I put 1,500 back in the budget for that. It's really, mainly a mainstay on this particular budget, didn't have, a whole bunch of changes. Operations and abatement, got $2,000 in there. They had 2,000 in the budget last year, 2,300 so far. I put 2,000 again in the budget. Membership and training, there are different Florida code enforcement associations. I would like the code enforcement officer to be able to get into a membership. That's what that's gonna pay for, and for also possibly some training to get up to date to see what other cities are doing and how they're.
I thought we were, she's hosted them, they've been
I
here.
think so, we
Yeah.
have continuing education hours.
We talked about it, and I asked her about this, and we talked about it. I'm not sure again why the funds haven't been used this year, but I'm one to say, hey, you need to go and get certified, you need to get updated, you need to have the latest and greatest at your fingertips, and she's on board with that. So I put the 15 or the 1,600 back in there, again this year for utilization, so.
I asked, also, so this is, I asked Derek and he, I guess he passed that on to Pam, to get from us how Interlochen and how Palatka, how they deal with their magistrate. You can't charge for magistrate services. However, you can charge an administrative, by statute, you can't charge for this. However, you can charge for administrative services. You just can't charge for the magistrate services. So if you're administrative services, when you think about all of that, and I believe Palatka charges $250 off the bat for administrative services, for code enforcement.
I think ours are low.
Ours are very low. And so, and then it would be $25. So you're gonna have before you on September 10th, we're gonna have our fee schedule. And so hopefully we'll have that information by then. So if we need to go ahead at this time when we're doing that and say automatically, I mean, it's $250 and then $25 per hour for anything over and above however many hours, and that to see if that can help cover some of our costs so that we're not eating those costs.
Yes.
Because you get somebody come to the magistrate and,
Do we currently
I
have any fees on for code enforcement?
I'm sorry, sir.
Do we have fees on our fees, our schedule fees?
We do have some things in
Yes,
there.
we do.
And I did get this last night, and I read it this morning. I was gonna print it out and share it actually with everybody, but I'll tell you now. So the findings were, she did speak to the clerk of special magistrate of the city of Palatka and town of Interlochen.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Palatka, City of Palatka, when a case goes before the commission for a lien or fine reduction, there is a standard fee of $250. And if the lien is less than $50,000, they reduce the lien to $2,500. If the lien is more than $50,000, they reduce the lien to $5,000. They have a form similar to our affidavit of cost for administrative costs. The City of Palatka is working on an ordinance that has set fines for going before a special magistrate. The town of Interlochen, they have an ordinance and a fee schedule. She's attached that fee schedule in this email. I'll forward it to you all to take a look at that. They charge a violator a fee of $100 per special magistrate hearing, but only when the case is being presented to the town commission for a lien reduction. In a particular case, if a particular case is heard, not sure what I'm reading without my glasses, at two special magistrate hearings, then they would be held responsible for $200 plus the reduced lien. So I'll forward this over to you all as soon as we get done, just so you know.
We can't charge for the magistrate, but we can charge.
Charge
around.
Administrative, yes.
We can do
By
it.
statute, you can't charge for the magistrate, but you can
Well, I
charge.
would say if someone's gonna come, if it's gonna become before us for a lien reduction, there needs to be some compensation for the time that we're all sitting here.
And our
I mean,
magistrate
not to be rude, but
No,
I mean,
is what,
it's time.
$500? It's $500. Where do we have that?
I know we budgeted for it last year,
It's $500 every other month.
I believe so, I'd have to talk to Pam about that.
well, it's like, yes, they're $250 an hour minimum, or $2 minimum,
I know she said, I think it's,
it's in there somewhere.
Yep, I'm gonna.
let's
write
make
it down,
sure
take
that
a look
it's
at it.
somewhere. Okay.
Oh, and speaking about schedule of fees, our BTR, our business tax receipts, need to be increased.
He did, I told him that has to go up.
Yeah, because we rolled it back during COVID, and then they changed the law, so we can bump it up 10%, it was 10 or something.
No, it's 5%, I think, but every other year. You can only do it every other year, so this is the year to do it. We didn't do it last year, we did it
Thank you,
23.
I'm thinking about that when I'm rolling.
And that's on our fee schedule.
That's
that-
on the fee
Yeah,
schedule.
I was rolling here this morning, I was thinking,
Yeah, we changed it.
good.
All right, so if we move on, are we good with the code enforcement? Okay, so the next one's gonna be Public Works. Keith is here with us to answer any specific questions. We haven't gone line item by line item except for the first time that we did, but I asked him to be here. I know that as a group collectively, we talked about having a breakout of the cost. When we go into our first reading, I will have a full breakout and costs as far as the salaries and the allocations for Public Works and how those work. We just haven't had time. I know that Sheila's been working on a couple other things, but we're gonna get together and make sure that you guys have that breakout. And we'll have something put together for you all to be able to read that.
Now, you have in your Christmas bonuses where you've gone up to 500 on this. Or there are 5 employees. See where you had, we were 200 and then you've gone up to 500, a $300 increase. So did you not reduce that increase from 100 to 300? See, I don't think, it doesn't look like you've changed that.
What line item are you at?
That is on line item 218.
Yeah, you might be right. I might have overlooked that one.
So that's gonna save,
And we can change that. We can go back to, how many do you have under streets? Is it 3 or 2?
should be 2.
2.
2, okay. So we'll go back to 200
Two
on that.
full-time equivalents.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just now saved $300. Where are we?
We are at $460.
Mayor, I have a question,
Yes,
a couple, okay. Line 223, workers' comp. That is significantly over budget. So, is that part of our, excess of expenditures over revenues for this year? Is that included in that?
Yeah, we're talking about the allocation,
I'm talking about
How much we-
223 for
how much
workers'
we
comp.
spent,
we
14,000.
spent 14.
Right,
Yeah, Steve, you wanna talk to that?
No, we're gonna have to take a look and see what that is.
Okay.
okay, because it's 14,000 this year, it's twice what was allocated. So I'm hoping that that's been included in the calculation of, deficiency for this year. And then, so we have almost $10,000 for the coming year. So hopefully you have some feeling that that's gonna be sufficient.
Yeah, that's per the corporate, the spreadsheet allocation.
Got it. So, but we're quite a bit over budget this year. And then the next line down, 224, we're $8,000 up in expenses
Yes.
for streetlights. Do we get reimbursed for any of that?
So,
And we're still less than, I mean, look where we are currently.
so in this particular line item for streets, this is not the reimbursable portion. So when you're thinking about the reimbursable portion for the lights, that's the contract that we have with the FDOT that says, hey, you have 150 lights, Keith and his guys, hey, call us, fill out the paperwork, they come out and FP&L fixes it, and we get that money back at the end of the year. That is reflected in our revenues. We made sure that we added that in there. That's gone up from $27,000 to around 46 or something to that effect because of the additional lights. This line item at 224 is actually the power bill. It's the power bill we're getting from FP&L.
Okay.
So it
So
has,
let's put that
okay.
just for clarification.
And on yours, on the line item, I put FP&L billing. Do you, but I'll put power.
Okay, so are we
Expense or
Are
however.
we paying more because the bills have gone up or because of the new lights on US 17?
Because the new lights.
So we're paying $8,000 more a year.
And I'm sorry, I probably spoke too soon, but I imagine that there's also increases in energy cost as well.
Correct.
So you're gonna have, it's a little bit of play of both. You've got more lights and your power you're paying for is probably a little bit higher this year.
Can you weigh in on that?
I think what we end up paying for is the security lights that are scattered around town.
The security lights?
Yeah, like in the parks and stuff.
Right.
We end up having to pay for those,
As
I'm
well.
pretty sure.
We're not paying for the ones on the Highway 17, are
No,
we?
that was in that new agreement that just come in for 46,000.
Okay.
And hopefully all the lights are fixed.
They were out there working on them. They were working on them. So
Yeah,
between,
we get charged so much for every street light that's on Main Street,
right.
Prospect.
So it's for those
Oh, right,
lights,
right,
but not the new ones that
Sorry,
were
that was-
installed here.
I had an old note in there that was going off of, but yes,
But
you're
do
correct.
we have, I mean, the key, so my next question is, have we increased streetlights on,
In the
other
city.
than the ones on 17?
No, ma'am, I've actually eliminated some over the past years.
So that's good.
I mean, we eliminated all of them out of the park except for the two big floodlights and the one by the bathroom.
So let's look at, I mean, let's just, I guess we just need to look at that and make sure
So
that make sure everything's allocated, because that's a pretty big jump and we're not even done yet.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty consistent, 33 and 34, within about $500.
When the power goes up, they don't necessarily change that cost per light.
Yeah.
It usually stays about the same, or it goes up like 25 cents.
We'll look at
Shouldn't
it.
be-
We just had a quick sidebar. We do have that billing separate. So when the power comes in, it'll say street lights and separate it out. I'm gonna get with him
Okay.
and Sheila and we'll get a breakdown of that and make sure that we look at it. But to me, looking from the outside, not having any of the background, it just looks like maybe the energy bill's gone up. And
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a
Yeah,
lot.
I don't know that it's gonna be that much, it's
And
a
I
lot.
don't know either too, if these lights are LEDs or if they're old halogens.
So that was my next question.
Yeah.
Keith,
Everything was switched over to LEDs a couple years ago.
okay, that's
we
what,
voted on that.
yeah, that's
They-
what I thought that we were, so I just wanted to make sure that there was,
Even the lights down 17 that changed to LEDs.
those are all LEDs.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So yeah, let's look into that and see if we can get any cost savings there,
for sure.
or if something's awry. Traffic lights, so that's what we're paying for this traffic light service here, is the 6,000, we paid 71 this last year.
And I asked about that for the allocation. You can look at our bills before, we were 61.75. then it went down to 5,048. We budgeted 5,000. I was really unsure and unclear on why that differential was there, and it was higher, but I put 6,000 in the budget and increased that by $1,000. That's something that I have a note to go back with Steve to kind of investigate to see exactly what those allocations were and why it was higher than what we budgeted.
Do we have a reimbursement on that? Do we get a reimbursement on, how much is that reimbursement?
I have it on my desk, it's not much,
That's
for that, but
that's for the maintenance of it.
yes, correct, it's for the maintenance.
That's what I wanted to, that's what I'm asking now, for the power is, I guess we have to incur all of that, correct?
Can we turn it off at night? Say,
Street light?
no, the traffic light.
I mean, the traffic light? Yeah, but I'm not turning it off at night.
I was just came home last night and it was the night before last, there was a car in the whole town.
That's one of the, so
So
DOT,
there is.
Okay, for the record, as someone who lives a block off of the highway, we have traffic going through constantly.
I'm not cross traffic.
I don't really think
I'm
that,
just saying, if we want to save money,
you're saying turn off
the
the,
traffic light.
I don't think
That's
that's
a
allowed.
$7,000 power bill.
so get back to the budget, on the light itself though, I have reached out, I have two contacts, the DOT splits those bills, so you have one that handles lights, traffic lights, one that handles the roadway lights. I've already been in contact with the roadway lights, we have that updated, Charles actually, before he left, updated that contract to include the new lights. I'm still waiting to hear back from the contact for an old, estimated contract that we had for, I think it's right around $3,000 or $4,000 that they reimburse us for that traffic light.
Okay.
And that's for the maintenance, so as soon as I get that back, I'll be letting you all know.
Okay.
All right, moving on, so liability insurance, again, this was something, we have a significant savings here, but again, we have more in public works than others. And this is spread out through that spreadsheet that's provided by finance, and so feel real comfortable with that number. It does show some savings there. Vehicle maintenance and repair, we had $1,000 in the budget last year. We had $3,000 in '23. We had an audited $844, don't ask me about that, but $1,000 last year. We incurred $3,700 in cost so far this year at Public Works for vehicle repair and maintenance. I anticipate, because of the age of our trucks and equipment, that we are gonna have that same amount, so I budgeted $4,000 this year, which is an increase of $1,000 from last year to cover those costs. As we see what our needs are, and you'll see later in the Better Place plan, we have some requests for equipment, but we need to be very strategic about the funds that we decide to use and work with Public Works Director to figure out exactly the needs, and I think we'll be able to possibly bridge the divide there for some of the things that are needed. Equipment repair and maintenance, again, this was one that was a little bit over the board. We had less than 4,000 in '23. We had more than 6,000 in '24. We budgeted 4,000 this year, but we've only expended half of that. So I went back to the $4,000 for equipment repair is what we budgeted last year. That shows zero change on that. Where we get to the items that would increase more than anything in here, I put on sidewalks, but this really is more for repairs for roads, sidewalk, curb. This has to do with streets, right? So the number's an off number because that was a balanced number. We had to move some funds around, so it's a weird looking number, but we put that in there. For whatever reason, there wasn't anything allotted before. We are gonna try to get grants to pay for a lot of these things that we're gonna be doing, but I think $10,000 is a smart number to go into to put in for Public Works for fixing some of our sidewalks, curb repair, and possibly even roadway.
And those concrete grinders that you use on sidewalks to get joints.
They work, but they're very expensive.
Can we borrow one? Because, I mean, I know from driving down the sidewalks how rough they are. People are gonna, trip and fall.
I can't
It's
run on them
serious.
because you
I mean,
catch your.
I know, that's why I drive down Main Street.
Yeah, you know,
Main Street.
another thing that's utilized, and I'm not sure if he's used it before or saw it at some of like APWA things or whatever, but they'll go in and they'll hydraulically lift and foam fill underneath the
Like a
sidewalk,
level.
right? So they kind of jack it up and make it even. and then you don't have to grind and all that stuff, but it just depends on,
Trying to get on the
on
sidewalk.
what he's comfortable with and, I mean, but yeah, there's a lot of tech out there.
I just wonder a lot, a lot of cities and.
Well,
I passed,
We have some real joints.
the thing we have to be cognizant of with our with our sidewalks is their liabilities.
Right.
yes,
It's a
100%.
it's a liability.
Absolutely.
Well,
And-
very important. Hold on, because our ordinance says that we are supposed to designate streets. We're supposed to designate streets where the homeowners are responsible for the sidewalk. And the last I heard, I think that the homeowners are primarily responsible for the sidewalks. I don't think we have an ordinance that designates the streets.
No, but I think from a liability standpoint, that if that sidewalk is broken up
Oh,
or
there's some
something's
falls on it,
happened
yeah.
to it,
Well, we
And
need
then
to
right
ask
from Morgan,
Mr.
Morgan.
Holmes, because when you look at our ordinance, it puts a lot of responsibility on the homeowner, which, I'm not really sure that's fair. I think 50-50
it's not, I don't think it is,
Yeah.
Well,
because
but that's our,
Right.
we need to look at our ordinance. But as well, we took on as a city, the portions of the sidewalk that are the multi-use trail.
right,
In front of my house.
We signed responsibility with FDOT that we would be responsible for maintaining those, and some of those have been broken. And one of them, I think a property owner was responsible for. They had a semi-truck drive over it for demolition or whatever, not semi, a large truck. And there are some broken pieces in front of the old middle school that are very recent. They have to be recent. So I guess what I'm saying is the sidewalk cost thing, not the curbs, but the sidewalk, under our ordinance are more nuanced. And then under the contract with DOT, it is us. It is us.
and regardless of whether it's us or not, when Morgan gets hold of it, it's everybody.
Well,
So,
I don't
and
know.
then that's gonna be challenged, what is maintenance, is it keeping it,
Right.
clean, is it pressure washing it?
Correct.
Or is it coming in there, grinding it up, pulling it out and laying it down?
It's an as
When the
needed.
city
Yeah.
put that burden on them,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so it's always, you know that, in the court of law, it's,
I don't know, I think we should, A, ask Mr. Holmes, B, look at our ordinance and see what it says, because, but when the multi-use trail is many hundreds of feet or something, that is for sure, because it goes from south to
and
town.
that wasn't a plug for anybody out there that's,
I'm just
because there's
saying,
multiples, and I apologize that I just said one, but there's multiples out there that are just waiting for a phone call.
I think the sidewalks are in very good shape for me, I have no problem with them. They're doing better than they were.
Well, if you stay on that where the path was redone, but on our older sidewalks, they really are, in I can't run on them because you catch your foot on them.
Yeah.
If something happens, and, so.
And again, this is a little bit of the catch-all. It has repairs for sidewalks because that's what.
But you said it can include streets and.
Streets,
stuff.
curbing,
Okay,
we have
okay.
some broken curbing and some other things, to deal with.
Operating supplies, let's go to operating
I'd
supplies.
like to go back, Mayor, I apologize, I glanced over, it must have been one of those times I took my glasses off. If we could go back up to, line item 227 for tree maintenance, yes, ma'am. That was an increase in cost, this is for maintenance of trees, trimming and or removal. One thing that I've noticed, going in the city is that coming down our main corridor, our palm trees are not properly trimmed. They should be cut every year. You can decide as a group, what time frame you want to do it. Some people decide hurricane cut, some people do a 9-3, some people go a little higher, a 10-2. Those are things that we'll have to decide as a group, and because I definitely want to do it one. Palm trees along 17, some of these, and even, Correct. The other thing is, I noticed that in the city, and not to bring it up, Commissioner Burton's not here, but at Commissioner Burton's house, there's a huge invasive tree that's actually taking up a really big portion of the right of way, and it's damaged the sidewalk, the driveway, and now it's damaging the roadway and the curb. When you drive, you feel a huge bump. that's actually an invasive tree and it's not a good tree to have.
It's a camphor tree, and
Camphor tree.
I know they trimmed it, had to be trimmed back some time ago. But really, I mean, it has taken that that new sidewalk.
Brand new sidewalk it's like this now, and it's only gonna get worse. That tree is a rapid growing tree, so it's gonna damage our roadway here soon. And we also have utilities, in that area as well, I believe, unless they did move them across the
They
street.
can work across the street.
Okay, so the water line moved, but
Okay, I can help you out there. Number one, for the palm trees, I would suggest that we refer that issue to the tree and garden board. Because they're supposed to give recommendations on the vegetation and our rights of way, and there are people there with more expertise.
Well, why haven't they? Because
Pardon?
I drive down the road, I mean, I drive down the
They
road and
haven't
see it all the time.
They haven't been asked.
We have to give them that directive?
If this, I think so, because it's a huge project here, but if this
You
city
have a
manager,
meeting today, don't you?
if the,
we do
yes,
have a meeting at 2
in
o'clock.
15 minutes.
So why don't you just knock
So,
this down?
and the other thing is, the camphor tree is a very sticky wicket. You might want to consult an arborist about that because, number one, that provides shade for that whole, there's no other trees, there's no other shade on that part of the street. And as well, the cost to remove the roots of the camphor tree are very, very significant. If you will speak to Mr. Sukow, who did the remediation on these oak trees and is a certified arborist and tree risk assessment, he can give you an estimate of the cost to remove a large camphor tree. They are not fast growing when they are that size, but they are very, very costly to remove.
Correct, and I think as a collective group, and I haven't looked, and I apologize, at all of our ordinances, but we should be allowing homeowners to rectify these problems prior to them actually becoming a problem. And if our code specifically states and gives specifics on these invasive trees and allows a pathway for a homeowner to remove them without interference from the city, then we should probably look into that, because then we wouldn't be dealing with the cost being on our problem later, right?
Unless it's on our right.
Unless it's on our right of way.
And that one's on the right of way.
Correct,
You've also got the one off of Lake
Yes.
that's dropping.
And I agree they provide shade, but we should be looking at trading those trees out with a tree that can grow and be healthy for the community as well, that's not invasive.
Okay, well, and
Let's
just
do-
the other thing, trimming the trees, we are not providing the expert trimming to our heritage oaks that we need. It should be done by an arborist certified in tree risk assessment. And we have trees in Eagle Lion Park. They need to have an expert tend to them, or we are likely to cause ourselves loss of trees and expense.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they are not prepared for hurricane season. And I have a recommendation from Mr. Libby that I got for free.
Okay.
That I'm happy to share with you on the tree.
Please, I would appreciate that, and this is our first stab at it. I mean, we're gonna try to do this in phases where in the next few years, we are continuing to trim trees and have a program for that.
Well, we haven't done anything appropriate for probably 10 to 15 years. We are very, very behind, and we are very at risk.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna move on. Let's go to 232.
Thank you,
Trees is a whole nother, that's a whole nother.
232.
bugaboo for us to-
Operating supplies, 5,000 in the budget, we've utilized 1685. Keith will probably be a little upset, I did reduce this down a little bit, but I was just trying to balance everything out. We have $3,040.
Is that
Keith, can you-
significant? I mean, that's a significant decrease.
Operating supplies, we had 5,000 in the budget. We utilized 1,685 this year. I dropped the overall budget to around a little over $3,000.
But last year we were at 5,500, we spent 5,500. What's covered in those operating supplies, Keith, do you know? How they allocate them? It would probably be how they're allocated,
I'm
so,
not sure, part of that don't help pay for the paper and
yeah.
printing paper and stuff like that.
I'm thinking operating supplies
Yeah.
are, the different things that the guys need, fertilizers and everything that they use, herbicides. That to me is what, for public works and streets, if they have to do any of that. along the roadways, out here in the medians, whatever they're having to do.
And we do have, if you go down below on the street repair supplies, we did put in $5,000 in that budget. We've only expended $528 this year in that line item. That's for miscellaneous paint, patch repair, and stuff like that, Mayor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on the.
Where are we on our striping? Because, and it should have been in the budget, it should have been in the budget last year. I'm not sure, I gotta look where we put that, but we allocated money in the budget last year and we are a year out. We approved that in September of last year.
Yes, ma'am.
And our streets are still not striped.
Yes, ma'am. I've tasked Keith to get a couple of quotes. We did receive only one quote, but I've asked him to go out for actual bid for.
I should have another one on my computer right now.
Okay.
And then I've called another company, so we'll have 3 bids.
Okay.
Here shortly.
That's,
But I know there was 13,000 or whatever it was budgeted, but where did it go?
well, and that's where I'm wondering where that money is, so we need to
Find that. Okay.
find where that
It
is.
was 13,500, I think.
Okay.
Mayor, and along those same lines, did we not vote to have stop signs added on Central Avenue?
Yes, we did, that's supposed to,
They're on there now. We're just waiting for signs from the sheriff's department.
And
I just can't put stop signs up and then
yeah,
nobody know it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not talking about whether what you've done or not done, but do we need to have money in the budget, or did we spend?
those have already been bought.
Okay, so those are
Correct.
purchased.
Those are purchased, they're
Okay.
there, and,
Yes.
but you have to give those caution for those people that are continuously driving
Yes.
those.
And we
Yes.
requested from the county their signboard, and they had an exercise that you all heard recently, and so I believe they've just been busy. But I'll call Major Usry today and see where he's at with that board.
Let's go over to, if we can, to 18, we're running out of time.
We're going to Parks and Recs.
And again, you've got your, Christmas bonus. You
And
put
we'll
Christmas bonus in
Reduce
here.
that down to $200.
So that's an extra $100 that we,
We put employee incentives in
no,
here.
that's overtime. You're looking at overtime.
Sorry.
I know you got excited.
Yeah, I was turning cars, so.
Employee incentive, you said?
Yes, ma'am. So we didn't have anything in that line item. That is for the guys to get some certifications.
Well, not actually, when we first started doing employee incentives, it was for like buying shirts and mugs and stuff like that. It's a cool, jump to give everybody so that they take it home and make them feel good.
I got you.
From Crescent
was
City,
that?
be part of Crescent
Employee
City.
incentives.
It's these shirt like you're wearing
No,
currently,
no,
like the one he's currently wearing.
Does not breathe at all. It's really.
Hot.
And that's something too, and I don't know if it's in the budget here, but we've got, we gotta find it somewhere. Our guys need up-to-date shirts that they're out there working in. They need those looking ones,
Most of our shirts are just like this.
but the long sleeves, so they're covered, and they look uniform and they look
Yeah.
neat. It's pride we take in our employees and pride we take in our city.
Yes, I agree. I brought
I've
in
been saying that
samples.
for 4 years and I'm still saying it.
I brought in samples from Atlantic Beach with the Public Works Department uses there. We'll be looking into it. It's on my
Is
radar.
there anything else on here that, we got contractual services here, it says 10,000 we spent this year. Investigate contract, possible renegotiation, RFQ for new bids.
What was that for?
What was that for?
Parks and Recreation?
Because we only budgeted for 1,500.
I believe $7,300 of that was the installation of the burnt replacement kids playground that got burned.
That's down here, so we've got the 12,838. We didn't include that in there for replace burn park equipment.
Yes.
One I believe was for labor, was for the install, and one was for the actual physical equipment.
I know the install was expensive, but both of those, we got And I'd like a notation there, Steve, if you could, so that we know that there was a reimbursement, insurance reimbursement
There
for
was.
how much.
Right.
There was for
Good to
installation
have it.
And for the
and for
equipment
the
also.
actual equipment.
Yeah, so we need to do that, so for that. Cause it makes it look like we just paid $12,000, but
Correct.
we got reversed for it, then that's great.
But ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
So for contractual services, line 247, what was that for?
That's what we're just talking about.
Okay, well, then we went down to the burn parking lot.
Because it's the.
Because he said he thought it was the burn park equipment.
And labor for installation.
Right.
Yeah, I think $7,300 of that is for the installation of the burnt,
Yeah,
playground.
Well, I guess what, it says investigate contract possible renegotiation RFQ for new bids.
I've already asked that.
Okay.
So I asked him to look into it, what it is, because he said he's not sure what that was for.
Okay, sorry.
Because I said that probably should have been down here for the replaced burn park equipment, it should have been combined with that. And then we asked him to make a notation as to how much insurance pays. Okay.
Sorry, guys, we're trying to wrap it up so that you guys can have your meeting. Sorry,
there
I apologize.
Mayor, outside of the budget, I have one thing that we should talk about before we go.
We're on the last page, we're on the last page. So,
so far from our changes, Mayor, we've saved $760.
okay,
And we can reallocate that wherever you want, or we can leave it as extra. That's up to you.
but that still doesn't get them down to where they want to go down to.
That does not get us to a lower millage rate. The only option we would have would be to use our reserve.
Yeah.
And
To cut labor,
They got labor,
to cut labor instead of 5%, 3%.
but that's not gonna make, I don't know how
What's
much
the
of a
difference in
difference
that?
that would
I'm
make.
gonna pull that up right now.
well, 5% is approximately $50-something thousand. We can't include the manager in that because he has a contract that provides for his. But the problems we're running into is we've added a higher level position. And then, we did the salary adjustment, and we talked about this at the last meeting. So we're talking about 5% on top of that. I think the figures provided us, salaries are approximately 1.1 million.
Or we could use the rest of our carryover to
If there is.
keep it. Well, we know we have from our carryover currently, there's $68,000 left after what he's plugging in. We can use that to do, and keep us, say that $39,000. I really, really, really strongly would like us to consider not increasing our tax rate. I know, I understand, but, I know it's a hard year, but we worked very hard to bring that down. We had 10 years to $8.5 million for
I know, but
it. We worked hard to bring it back, which was only $2,000. If we get something like that.
If I could,
$39,000.
we're almost out of time, and I want to let you all know, so at the 5%, and I believe I sent this morning, if I didn't, it's part of your paperwork now, we're at $59,422. At 3%, it would be additional cost of $35,653.
savings of how much?
So,
That's
a savings of $23,000.
So that's almost there. We need 33,000,
34.
34,000? Come on, I mean,
If you were to go
If you were
to,
to go to the 8.5, which has been our historic number, keep in mind, and I understand, but this is what you're telling us as the rollback. So this is where we are from last year, okay? We only had a 1.44% increase.
Yeah.
And that's really what is hurting us.
but it's still, at the end of the day, when our residents look at their tax bill, we have increased their tax rate. Regardless of whether they're paying more or not, whether their value went up or down, my house, my value went up, okay? I don't think any of the three of your houses went up.
My value went up.
Okay, because I mean, there are a lot of houses in Crescent that the value went down. But still, it's that, the principle of the matter, that it's 7.84, and we were at 7.4, and it's only $39,000. I just don't understand.
Well, then you know what? If we're gonna do that, we can do that. If you wanna do that, we can cut that. I mean, we've gone through this budget line by line. And so my recommendation is that if you need that extra savings and that's where you want to be, then by golly, we're gonna have to cut ours. We'll have to cut our training. I mean, I'm saying, we've looked at this and we've brought it down to as bare bones as we possibly can at 3%. And so I'm fine with us, if we have to cut our savings down to 500, I'm fine with that. I know that y'all are not.
Well,
But-
the problem
but you-
that we're being able to go to Tallahassee and to lobby on behalf of the city is what has gotten us $1 million last year and $2 million this year, for $700,000 in sewer projects.
Yeah, that's true.
Senator Lee even said that Crescent City made a good story for themselves and represented themselves well in Tallahassee. That's because there was 3 of us up there. And that was one of the things that I do with that training, training money.
Okay.
So,
I'm not gonna argue with you. I also know that Michael had a tremendous amount to do with that, when he was here and talking to them and dealing with them and explaining to them. So with that said, find the money. Figure it out. We've sat here, that's our responsibility to find the money. Where else do you wanna take it out of?
I don't think we have to take it out there. I think we adjust the water utility rate, that's $11,000 right there. I mean, it just makes, that's why I'm saying we're really cutting those revenues down. And I know you're not supposed to balance it by your revenue, but I'm just saying that that's not a realistic number. If you're having a 5% increase in rates, then that number has to go up. And when we're already at that number right now and drop. I mean, that's a big chunk right there. I just think we need.
And I just hope that if that happens, we don't have anything catastrophic happen to the rest of our expenditures that would cause, I mean, look at our expenditures from this year, Commissioner Lori. And without getting upset about it, but look at our expenditures for this year and where we are. And a lot of those expenditures are higher than what we budgeted for last year.
And we're almost balanced right now, and we're gonna be balanced by the end of the year.
But we're also having, but no, wait a second, we're having to balance because we had a carryover from last year. Yeah, yeah.
No, it's all.
Did he not just say that we're using 110 for that, 110,000?
No,
We were,
Okay.
we are short for last year, but the bottom line is,
The fact is that.
I will say this,
Okay, Commissioner Lori.
if I could, I'm sorry. I just want to point out that, that the employees are phenomenal. I've been here 3 months.
I'm not saying that.
I know,
Let him
let me
finish.
finish real quick, I'm sorry, sir. Steve here to my left has worked tirelessly, Nell has worked tirelessly, they're the lifeblood of the city. Keith, last month, got employee of the month. I think it's, Christina's been working hard, I could go on and on, everybody here is spread out, doing multiple jobs and doing a great job. And as a city manager, it's my recommendation that we continue to invest into the lifeblood of what runs our city, because that's what's gonna collectively give the best services to the residents that are paying for those services. If we discount the people that work here, it optically doesn't look good for the new people possibly coming in, for the retirees that are going out. It doesn't look good for the people here from around. That is my opinion. I totally understand where you're coming from. Nobody wants taxes increased, but you do have to look at the collective of the whole situation. And my opinion and my recommendation is to continue to invest into the employees here.
And I will just say that I have never once said that any of these employees do not work their butts off, and I knew that. And I'm not saying don't give them a raise, but I'm saying we did 5% last year, we did 7% in the middle of the year, and then doing another 5% now. 3% is not that big, it'll help us keep the tax rate down. And I mean, to me, it just seems, I just don't want to be
Well, if
known
you
as the
want it,
highest
I
municipality.
think
You want it.
I think we've budgeted, Mayor, at the old rate that it was 8.519, I think that's what the original, what's been lasting for a while here. I believe we have a balanced budget rate on that still holds 5% that we can propose to you all. I just need direction, because we're gonna leave this meeting out of here, and we need to know which budget we're working off of. I don't wanna simultaneously work off of 2, and I really would like direction from the commission on that.
And I'm hoping that as we go into next year, that we'll be able to reduce it like we did last year, because we won't get that 1.44% increase.
It's a
I
big,
mean, even Black, I think, got 3.4 something. All the other municipalities got that more, but we did not. And so I'm hoping next year we'll go back to our standard. Things will change, home prices will go up. and, we'll have the development, and we can do that. But if you can figure it out, if you can
I
come
can
up,
balance it at 8.434.
I am not willing to.
Without doing,
I'm not willing to vote on a budget that we've reduced the revenue, or increased the revenue to where we have no assurances. And I think we have to be very careful about that, because the last thing any of us want is, as we go into next year, I apologize to everybody, as we go into next year, to have a shortfall.
but when we're looking at the water utility tax, it's one of our most consistent revenues. It's something that, one of the only 4 revenues that
You're
the state
talking
allows us.
$10,000, that's still not gonna get you to where you need
But
to be at the 8
I think we can find, there's still some fluff in there, okay? If you want, I
Please
think
don't
so.
say fluff,
No, I mean,
because this
there's
is pretty bare bones.
there's always, okay.
I mean,
I just think that it does not behoove us,
perception,
and it does not serve our residents properly to be raising the tax rate.
but
It's a one bad rate.
keep in mind, you keep saying that, but we're actually going to the rollback rate.
But that doesn't mean
But we're
anything,
accepting the
we're
rollback
raising the village rate. That's just
But
like.
a lot of their values, did you say your value went down?
No, mine went up.
Yours went up, okay.
And regardless, it's-
I'm going to go ahead at this point. Commissioner Vito, you had something else you needed to say?
Yes, just like to bring our attention, immediately the week following our September 10th meeting is the legislative delegation meeting. If there's anything we want to ask for, we either need to have, personally, I think we need to have another workshop before we have our very full September 10th meeting.
Fine.
I really do. We need to think of what our priorities are for our legislative delegation, and you may have seen in the paper that the county Ride Solutions, Ride Solutions got 1 year of funding.
1 year, yeah.
1 year, and it is going to serve South County apparently. And Commissioner Moore, you were very much behind us, but it's only from October to the end of the next fiscal year. So my thought is that we should advocate for funding for Ride Solutions as well. I think we need to advocate for funding for the historic preservation grants, because those can affect structures in our city, such as Newman Lodge, if we ever want to apply for that. But just before September 10th, we need to have whatever it is we want to ask for.
And that would be bringing back funding for those historic grants, because this last year they slashed those.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
speaking to, but, so those are just two.
So,
And-
Commission, before we adjourn, do we feel we need another workshop before September 10th?
I believe so, and we were hoping to go over, the enterprise fund, CRA, and VPP. We would like to do that. I will, get with our clerk, Melanie Ames, and we will work together to find a date, and I will send an email out.
She's gonna be gone,
to the
she's gone till the
fifth.
5th, she's gone till the 5th.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So,
That's on my screen now.
We have the 8th or the 9th.
Earlier the better. I would like the 8th if you're all available.
I'm available.
Sure.
I'd like to avoid the hours of 1 to 3, because that's the women's club, but if I have to, then I will just do what I need to do.
It's gonna do it after today.
Do you want to do 3?
It seems like that would be better than the.
Great. Can you be here by 3, Commissioner DeVito?
I can be here at 2:30.
Oh, then let's do 2:30.
Okay.
For
And then-
staff purposes, if we can do it at 2:30.
Absolutely.
So when it goes to 10 o'clock,
Right. We can, and then, Mayor, very quickly, do we have any update on the wind
I
extension?
do not have any update on that. I'm still waiting, Larry, still working on it. I know
Yeah,
he's trying.
the signatures.
One of my favorite TV characters.
There's additional signatures, so I just left it.
Okay.
Whenever you want it,
And
just let me know.
Larry, I know that he's working on trying to get that for me, and I'll follow back up with him. I'll follow back up.
And then one announcement, the downtown partnership, excuse me, at 5 is having an urgent mixed meal at 310 Central Avenue. Everyone's invited, please attend, everyone would love to see us.
Okay.
and you, and everyone.
Okay. Is that good? Anything else? With that, we're going to adjourn the workshop. Thank you all very much for being patient with us. We've been here since 10.
Oh my gosh.
Chris, Chris,